Welcome to the Setbreaker Podcast. Today, I did that because I knew you were looking at me. Today we have a returning guest, my good friend Daniel Ma of Marshall Club.
What's up, guys? D-Ma in the building. It's good to see you guys again.
He back with the skin fade.
Yeah.
New haircut.
See, I remember very specifically last time my voice just cracked. I'm hitting puberty if you didn't notice.
You reversed an age. You lean. You got that bicep bump. Because you have that like bicep that some guys have where it just kind of hangs out and protrudes.
Really?
And it just looks good. Yeah.
I never noticed that, but that boosted my self-esteem.
Yeah. It looks good in t-shirts like that.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, dude. I knew I came to the right place. I'm being buttered and
Yeah, man.
made to feel good about myself. Good at that, Mike.
I try, man. I try.
Thank you.
I feel like, but you're good at that too.
Really?
Yeah, you're really good at complimenting.
Oh, I think I talk to people the way I would want to be talked to. So,
for the reciprocity of it all.
Yes.
Okay. How the hell does your hair stay?
I know.
How many inches is your hair, by the way? Guys, if you're not watching this, his hair on top of his head is literally, it looks like almost 6 inches straight to the sky.
There's actually cardboard underneath, cardboard inserts.
Oh yeah, for the structural integrity.
Yeah, structural integrity. That's one of the favorite terms on Marshall Club. No, I put in a lot of hair product, like unholy amounts. I probably have enough chemical in my hair to kill a colony of ants, maybe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hey man, fashion over function, I always say.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like kind of Pauly D.
Yeah.
Because his is disgusting. Like glops. Yours still looks like natural.
Thank you, man.
So that's I'm impressed, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Hair is just a weird thing. Like something about hair. Like and you keep your head shaved, but I know you have like a method to the way you cut your hair. Yeah. And it's something strange about having a fresh haircut, even if it's, down to the skin. It makes you feel a certain way. For me, I look, because I cut my own hair, and I know you cut your own hair. And to me, it's like having a finger on a morphine button or on like a confidence button. Because every time I cut my hair, I feel like for like 3 days, I'm invincible. I can conquer the world in that time.
I love that you say that, because that's literally why I keep shaving my head.
Right?
And that's why I keep shaving my face every day too.
Yeah, really.
Like it feels like, did you say it, being reborn? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally feel like I'm a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
Every day when I shave, but then when I shave my head every few days, that's when I just feel like fucking sexy.
It's crazy, right? It's like Mario. And you just found a star, and it's like yeah, like for a good, like for me, it's like a week where I feel fresh. And then there's a week where it tapers out. And then it's so weird because I don't know if it's psychosomatic, but once I reach that 2-week mark, it's almost instant. The next day I feel like crap. Because I look in the mirror and it's not sharp. Even though by most people's I know some people who don't get haircuts until half a year's gone by.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, I know. I would go crazy because the second I hit 15 days later, and it's funny, it's specific, it's 15 days. It's the day after the 2-week mark. And then my confidence tanks somehow. And it's like, it shouldn't be physiologically linked to your hair, but on some deep psychological level, to the point where I notice a tangible difference. Once I cut my hair again, I'm back on top. I'm back, baby.
Dude, I'm 100% there. I think it also ties in with us and like upholding to a certain standard for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that aesthetically we like what we see,
yeah,
and we're doing it on our own, like a hands-on type of project. Because how good does it feel when you do something that's your own thing and you accomplish it, no matter how big or small? You could even be like cooking something, right?
Right.
And then you make it, and might not be that good tasting, but it's like, well, I did it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Because and I'm not a professional barber by any stretch. But knowing that I get a little bit better each time. So this, I have a skin fade, and I was scared to do a skin fade on myself for the longest time.
Why?
Because it's so easy to mess up, Like there's the margin for error is literally smaller. And the funny thing is, the day I took the leap was right before we shot one of our short films that had to do with Bruce Lee. And I didn't even go into that haircut knowing that I was going to do it. I'm like, I need to take it a little tighter. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, this is the point of no return. And I'm supposed to shoot in 2 hours. And I'm like, I need to wrap this up. Because the first time you do it, it's like surgery. It's like brain surgery. It takes hours. It still takes me hours. But then I went into set with this new look, and I'm like, I felt naked because, I feel this new air on my skin. But at the same time, it gave me this confidence, and it gave me this new sense of identity in a weird, weird way. And, that video ended up doing super well. I think, I forgot what the count was, but
I thought you were going to say, I think it's because of the hair.
It might be, dude.
It could, you never know, man.
I don't know.
It's the little tiny nuances.
Yeah, seriously. It's like things just play, intangible things play into your confidence all the time. And maybe you don't see it for another 20 years, but you find yourself owing your success to the smallest little things. The little decisions that you make on the fly. Sometimes those build momentum into that bigger thing that is you. And yeah, it's strange. It's strange because you look back and it feels like 80% of who you become was made or decided in a single second.
Dude, that was really poetic. That was so poetic.
At one point, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going.
That's like a movie. That's like a movie quote.
Yeah. It felt like I was flipping in midair. I'm like, I hope I stick this.
Dude, you stuck it well.
Thank you.
That's a 10 out of 10 landing.
Oh man, thank you.
Oh, dude, you freaking. That was actually perfectly symmetrical. What the like that. So I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
It's okay, man.
I totally forgot.
It's okay, man. I think I forgot what I was gonna say too.
This is the beauty of podcasts because this is a real conversation.
Yeah.
We got the pauses, we got the moments of deep thought, moments of epiphany, and then this is me trying to fill the dead space because what I was doing was I was like, when I do podcasts, I do my best to listen, but also there's times I just want to jump in and say shit, but I try to balance it, right?
Dude, yeah.
And then sometimes when I'm doing that, I focus so much mental energy on that I completely forget what I'm gonna say. Because some podcasts I listen to, the host just takes over the whole thing, and it's annoying.
Right.
Like this one guy put me on his podcast recently, and he's like, "Oh yeah, bro, I wanted to bring you on, share your wisdom and blah blah." I was like, "Okay, sure." And he was talking about himself for 95% of the time, and the whole time I'm thinking like, "Why the fuck do you have me here? Why am I here? What is the point of this?" And I was gonna say something, but I just kind of ended up saying a little bit of a kind of passive aggressive fake compliment, like, "Dude, you're good at talking."
I need to check.
And his eyes lit up, and he's like, "Thanks, man." And then I was like, "No, you're good at talking a lot, man. Like you just you don't stop. It's amazing,
Yeah.
And but it was also a compliment because I was literally amazed. I'm like, this guy doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
I need to check that out because that sounds like a thing.
You would be laughing. You would laugh so hard. So, dude, freaking so we were talking about this off camera. So you recently decided to fully make the jump towards your dream, right?
Yeah.
Before you were a little,
Right. So I think when I was here last, I was in an interesting, what will ultimately reveal itself to be an interesting part of my life, because I was at a crossroads. I feel like so much has happened in the interim. Back then, I was working a job where it was normal, where I could expect to work 60 or 70 hours in a week, and it was a job that taught me to bleed. It taught me to really, really put all of my mental energy and physical energy into something to get it done. And I think what it did was it strengthened my knees, so to speak, because lots of pressure. You want to buckle, but I guess being there for a long time taught me not to buckle. And I would say that I didn't waste my time there because it taught me to bleed. But then I came to a point where I decided I wanted to bleed for something that I cared about. And around that time, well, it's November now, right? Yeah, that means it was just a couple weeks after the last time I was here that things started to pop off for Martial Club, because we got approached by these directors to help out with their movie. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say just yet, but you can pick up little morsels and clues on Instagram and know exactly what I'm talking about. That didn't pan out exactly the way I wanted it to for me. Andy and Brian got to work on this movie, and then they got to work on a bunch of other stuff. But what it did for me was it made me realize that this isn't just a pipe dream. What we're doing with Martial Club isn't a pipe dream. And if I devote my energy to Martial Club the same way that I had to devote it to work, and this is something I do freely, just think of everything we can do, We've grown a lot this year. There's been a lot of ups and downs. We're actually in a valley right now, but we're still growing on a major level and on all fronts too. We're firing on all cylinders, growing as filmmakers, growing as martial artists. And even though we didn't count on lockdown, even though all these curveballs have been thrown our way, I feel like every time we come out stronger. Sorry, I went on some philosophical rant, but basically I quit my job and I'm just trusting that opportunities are going to find me as I explore myself as a martial artist and as an actor. It takes a lot of faith because people are counting on me. My girlfriend's counting on me. My family's counting on me. And there's all these things that are reminding me that the leap was real and the risks are real, but the rewards are also real. And I think you've been exploring that a lot longer than I have, but it's been a wild journey just seeing where it is right now. It feels like I did take this leap of faith off of a cliff, and right now I'm still in free fall, but I'm also finding a way to take in the sights as the wind rushes, and hopefully I'll land on something soft. We'll see. Maybe when we talk in a year or sooner, maybe I'll be a bum. We'll see.
There's always something that comes up. Yeah. There's always something that happens during the path, the journey, and a lot of it could simply just be leveling up internally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like coming to terms with who you are.
Right.
Like more.
Right.
Like the things that maybe before you thought was a weakness ends up being a strength. It could also be just... I think, when we do these type of things and make these leaps that into the complete unknown, we are completely banking on ourselves, regardless of if we're part of a team or not. It's still it's like a gamble, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're putting all the chips on yourself and putting all your money into the stock, which is you.
Mm. You got this.
Yeah, I know. I was struggling so hard. Like I was like, dude, I got a steak in the refrigerator and I can't wait to eat it. Because I was gonna eat a little snack before you got here.
Oh shoot!
But
sorry,
like,
dude.
no, it's not your fault. It's but I was like, fuck, it's gonna make me not. Maybe I'll get sluggish mentally.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I'm just thinking about food.
I know. Dude, I think about food all the time.
Fuck, dude.
Like, because you've been taking care of your body, as is very, very obvious, very, very apparent.
Arigato.
I've been trying to do the same, and my method is intermittent fasting, and there are some days where I'll fast for 40 hours.
Dude,
and
you're a freak,
dude,
of nature.
I don't know how that.
How the fuck did you do
I don't know how I got to that point, but the things that go through your mind. I remember one time I was 30 hours fasted, and I was with my girlfriend at Trader Joe's. Dude, Have you ever been to Trader Joe's when you haven't eaten for 30 hours?
Never.
Everything looks good, even stuff that you hate in daily life. It's like, wow, those figs are sexually attractive. Like, I've never been this turned on before, and it's like,
is that raw jasmine rice?
I know.
Oh, it's raw. Oh,
Slow down.
It's crunchy, delicious.
Dude, oh my gosh. It gives you this newfound appreciation for a lot of things that would be mundane. You know, water. I don't fast water. I fast water, but not for like weight loss. It's just like this spiritual thing I do. Or maybe it's this vanity thing I do. I don't know. But there are times when I don't even drink water. And then when I have that first sip after... Yeah, it's probably
Wait,
not
how
the
long
most
do you go
healthy.
without drinking water sometimes?
Like, say, okay, this is really weird. I had a goal weight of 160 pounds. You know, it's been a minute since I weighed 160. And I, like many people who are probably watching this, have gained the COVID-19, not the virus, the weight.
The pounds.
So, yeah, in pounds, the COVID-19 in pounds.
Yes,
So
the freshman
like,
19.
Yeah. A couple months into it, I was literally 20 pounds heavier. And I'm like, well, how did this happen? I've been exercising every day. And I think it just gets away from you how much you do when we're not locked down and trapped in our houses. And not having done that and just eating a little bit extra, it really, really added up. And I found myself 20 pounds heavier one day. So at one point, I must have been 28 pounds heavier than I was last time I was on this show. So I'm like, dude, something happened. And then where was I going with this? No, I just started like making little tweaks here, you know, training, knowing that I was training for something, and just like don't eat an extra apple a day. And I started running a little bit more. Well, not a little bit more.
A lot more. Okay, 10 to 14 miles in a day is not a little bit
like
more.
10-mile plus runs, but it's weird. Like I worked myself back down to 160. And now I'm trying to remember why I brought that up. I brought that up because it made me, doing what I do made me realize that when you're deprived of something, you appreciate it much, much more. So even water, that was just because like there are some days where I know I'm retaining extra water.
But then how long would you fast? Like dry?
Yeah, so like
water.
without intending to do it, sometimes I wouldn't have my first sip of water until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
What?
Yeah, so and that means I've gone maybe 16 hours, 17 hours without water.
Full on monk mode.
I
still drink water.
Yeah. I mean, usually I drink water, but like if I'm feeling like if I want to see something in the mirror, sometimes I'm like, if I don't drink that extra cup of water, you know what guys do.
I know what you mean.
You find yourself standing in front of a mirror for way too long, and it's like
I take a lot of photos.
I do take a lot.
As soon as I wake up
Bruh.
and I'm dehydrated and I pee out like orange, basically, I'm like, now's the time to take a photo. And then if I drink water and I forget to take the photo, I'll get so angry, like, oh,
dude, we can compare our photo rolls.
Yeah. No, I have the last photo I took before I stopped doing the 75 hard. It was on day 17, and even before that, I was running a lot of because of COVID and shit. So like, it was looking pretty good. You know, I was like, all right.
You're still looking pretty good. They're freaking they're like snakes waving at me from your arms, dude. You need to get that checked out.
I like the Jungle Book.
All right.
No, I've always fantasized about having veins since I was a kid, man. That's like all I would see. Fucking who was it? Like Sylvester Stallone,
right? Pythons,
Jean-Claude Van Damme
wrapped around his python.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, baby.
Dude, I would see those veins and I was like, how do I get those? Like,
Exactly.
I wanted that so badly, and I remember in high school just telling everybody I want to be the veiniest guy in the world, and people thought I was a freak. They're like, why do you want veins so bad? I was like, I just want them. Yeah. It's like a fantasy, you know? And then I knew I was getting really lean when I started seeing a vein pop out of my shoulder.
Dang, I've always wanted that.
Okay, not like pop out, but just like at certain angles, when I move my arm in a certain way in a certain light, I'm like, oh, dude, I could see that vein, man.
I totally understand that because like, honestly, if I'm looking at say I watch MMA a lot now, much more now than I used to, and then the second I see that vein right there, I'm like, oh. Like it makes me take that person much more seriously.
Yeah, it's like a cauliflower ear.
Right. Right.
But
Exactly.
if they got that vein in the shoulder, it means they do something.
Exactly. It's like, don't mess with this guy. But the thing is, cauliflower ear is disgusting. Yes, it commands respect.
It
but
is
it's
gross.
like a fearful respect. But like this vein right here, it's kind of arousing, you know?
Yeah, I know. Because
It's like,
I feel like
hello.
if a girl looked at it and she would just be like,
So strong, daddy. So strong.
I had somebody DM me
Yeah.
and hold on, I'm gonna get a banana.
Because
I can't think because I need to.
go for it, man.
So
Yeah. But what I was saying was, like, I would take those measures because just like cutting your hair does something weird but tangible to you, me seeing 160 or below on the scale did something to me. Like if I step
Mentally?
on the scale, and I see that I come in under 160, I'm like, "Ugh." It's like, you know, in Dragon Ball where it's like I feel that, and I know the rest of the day is gonna be good because I know whatever it is I do, I'm gonna kill it. That's why I know my girlfriend thinks I'm crazy, my family thinks I'm crazy, but like I do it and I feel powerful. And it's just a number, and it's crazy because the 0.1 makes a difference. 160.1, and I'm like, damn it.
you're like a UFC fighter.
Exactly.
You know, trying
exactly.
to make weight.
Like it feels like I'm trying to make weight every day. And it does feel like that 0.1 pound is going to be the difference between 30% of my purse, you know?
I mean, you lost 20 pounds. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, no, it's just like in the end, once. Wow, no. I was about to say.
Wow.
I was about to say 160 doesn't make a difference, like whether you're 160.1 or you're 159.9. But that's not true. What I'm finding now is that whether it's a mental thing or a physical thing, things happen when you reach your goal, when you know that you're on the north side of your goal. Because it's strange. I don't know if it's some like the Oprah, The Secret kind of stuff, but like, I don't know. Because I noticed like, okay, so weight as an example. I notice I trick significantly better if I'm 160 or lighter. And then if I'm heavier, like, there's literally a wall of things I can't do. And I'm starting to, now that I'm back to the weight I want to be at, I notice I move lighter. I can do combos longer, sharper. And like certain things come and go based on whether you're where you want to be or not. It's weird, even with Instagram. I don't know if this is just in my head, but I kind of, I always hesitate when I start to talk about vanity metrics, but I set a goal for myself. And at the time that I set the goal, it seemed a little unattainable. It seemed like, I don't know, because I gave myself till the end of the year to hit a certain number of followers, vanity metrics. But what I started to notice was that the second I started to dare for it and push for it, momentum started to build up and opportunities started to come. Like I can measure in hard numbers that there's a significant spike in the number of opportunities that come to you once you hit certain thresholds. But it's just the fact that you dare for it and you try for it, and then you start to see the momentum build, like your inertia builds. And then the barriers that you perceived as barriers become much less substantial. And you find yourself smashing through them. Not just like passing them, but smashing through them.
Khabib smash.
Yeah, smashing with an E. That's the real smashing.
Yeah, I think I think when we do that, a lot of us are kind of afraid to put it out there and strive for these type of numbers because numbers don't lie.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you don't hit it, then you're like, oh fuck. Like then you're faced to look at it. Cause there's a lot of things that are out of your control. Cause it's okay. These are random people that are potentially going to follow you or not follow you, but a lot of it is going to be on you, and what you put out. You know. So so I'm at like 11,900 now on Instagram.
Congratulations.
But thank you. And it's funny because for like a week to 2 weeks, I was literally just manifesting that every day in my head, as if it happened. And then I was putting out videos just as if it had fucking happened, right? And then it just kind of happened out of nowhere. But then one day I stopped because I got comfortable.
Right.
And also I kind of got a little burnt out, but mostly just comfortable and just like kind of lazy. And then it just kind of, I think it mentally it does something to us when we strive for certain goals,
Right.
Especially goals that seem so far off.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's a necessity. Like we have to do that. We have to place these things, and if we don't, especially deadlines, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, what was your vanity metric in your head?
I wanted to hit 20K by the end of the year, and okay, I do this weird thing.
What are you at right now, though?
I hit.
You're
20.
more than that.
I hit 20.
You're well over that, aren't you?
No, I just hit it. I just
you just
hit
hit
it this
20K? Oh,
weekend.
shit.
Yeah, this weekend. So I was a month and a half exactly ahead of schedule.
Oh, I think last time I checked, I think you were like a 19,000 something.
Right. and again, it's a vanity metric. People say, "Oh, it's just for vanity. It doesn't matter." But the weird thing is, it does kind of matter because, for example, for a UFC fight, when they're trying to establish the headline, the headlining fight, they want people who have drawing power in order to boost their pay-per-view numbers, and there are only a couple hard line facts that they can get in order to establish someone's star power, right? And you see it's directly correlated in their Instagram numbers, in their Facebook followers, in their YouTube subscribers. Conor McGregor is easily the biggest star in the UFC, in all of mixed martial arts. He's one person who transcends the sport that he's in, and he's a pop culture icon now. So you go to Instagram and you see that the number of followers actually it correlates to that. You know, you take a fighter who's ranked maybe 10th place in the UFC, not very popular. They're still going to have a good follower. They'll probably have a blue check next to their name, and they're probably in the hundreds of thousands of followers. Conor McGregor is in the millions, you know, and it's been growing. It's been growing substantially.
His is still growing.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't.
I would say, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but a couple years ago. No. It must have been only a year or two ago when I started caring about these kinds of things. He was at maybe like 1 point something million. No, he's like 4 million. And then now, like whatever it is, he's way beyond that. Everybody has leveled up much more. I think because lockdown, people are taking in social media much more than they used to, even though they were doing it a lot beforehand. Now it's even more. So I feel like across the board, everybody has kind of risen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's high tides make all ships rise, right? I heard that on a podcast the other day. I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Like when stuff like this, everybody's rising, but it's also possible not to take advantage. And it's a shame if you don't. So
There's a lot that haven't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comedians that I saw that just complained when Corona was happening with the lockdown.
Right.
Just were complaining that there was no stand-up.
Yeah.
And didn't do jack shit.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like that mentality. I was like, there's so much more you could be doing
Right.
besides stand-up. And look at me. I fucking built up a thing on TikTok and Instagram, you know?
Yeah, dude.
And now people are starting to follow suit too.
Right.
Now they're making more videos.
Right.
Which is good. But there's this ego part of me that's like, well, I was here, man.
I know.
Like, I didn't play sorry. By the way, Andy, his TikTok he surpassed me.
Yeah.
Like
It's so interesting. He is a genius in a lot of ways, but the really, really impressive thing is he doesn't realize he's a genius. Like, a lot of the things he does well, he knows it intuitively. Like filmmaking, martial arts, everything, he does it intuitively. And he can't explain to you on a technical level what he's doing, but he's doing it at a very high level. So watching him, there's a lot to be learned, but it's so crazy because he just feels it. Other people have, like myself, I have to think about what's being done here. He just does it, you know? I don't know. Like, he's got superpowers. Like, he started his TikTok, like, not that long ago.
it has not been that
Within
long.
the last
I remember because when he added me, I was like, oh shit, Andy made a TikTok.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
followed him back, and he just kept like fucking blowing the numbers, and it's cool to see though. And then it taught me something about what happens to when you have like a specific thing for people to go through. Because mine's pretty all over the place. It's not just comedy. You know, it's a little bit of self-development and this and that, but that's just me, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, him blowing up like that so fast is also a testament to how, you know, you guys, when you started Martial Club, it was so niche, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't a popular thing, right? but you guys kept doing it because you loved it so much.
Right.
And then you built a whole fan base, a whole like business out of it. And it shows, like even on TikTok, it's like you just stick to something that you really like, that you care about, and people will follow suit.
Right. I think the word that comes to mind is integration. When you do TikTok, it shouldn't just be TikTok, like this random isolated venture by itself, or Instagram, or stand-up comedy, or podcasting. Like all of it is you developing into a better version of you. And all the fruits that are derived from your labor, you're finding a way to share it with people in a way that's palatable and in a way that's relatable. And I think that's why Andy's so good, because everything he does, he's doing it Andy Lee style, and he does it 110% because that's the only gear he knows. The only gear he has is overdrive. And I think he learned that from his parents. And I think he learned that from just growing up in the circumstances that he grew up in. Same with Brian. Same with a lot of kids in that area. But I think what makes them so effective, so potent, is the fact that in everything they do, it's them. They don't think of doing something just for the sake of doing it. For them, it's all kung fu, and they are kung fu, and that's what I'm trying to learn to do. Like everything I do is a form of kung fu, even if I'm not fighting someone, because kung fu doesn't even mean martial arts. If you look at the literal meaning of it, it has a strong martial arts connotation, but it means skill developed over time when you put effort into it. And that's everything, whether it's cutting your hair and getting better at it, whether it's speaking with people live on a podcast, whether it's whatever, what have you, whether it's being a scientist, whether it's being a cook. All of these things take time. You pour into it and it grows into something over time. And I think they've managed to harness that aspect of themselves and put it into everything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's why they're successful at everything they do. They've learned to integrate their identity and their passion. And they attack it with the same vigor on all fronts. And I've always appreciated that about them. And that's always what I'm trying to teach myself to do. And these recent pursuits on Instagram on my end, it's been all about that. Instagram pretty much is my journal. If people study my Instagram enough, they know exactly what I'm going through. And that's kind of scary because but honestly, like everything I post down to the caption, this is stuff I'm learning on a daily basis. So it's literally like we'd like to tell people on YouTube that we want to take people with us on our martial journeys. And Instagram is a way I do that, because what I do, every post I make is fueled by the insights that I gain on a daily basis. And it helps me frame it a certain way so that I can distill. Like we take in a lot on a daily basis. We live in the information era. Some of it is mundane, some of it's not, is chaff. But our tendency as human beings, at least in this culture, is to consider most of it chaff. And a lot of times we end up throwing out the precious kernels with it because we regard it as insignificant. But if we take a second to look closer and really, really observe what's going on around us and through us, we find much more. And like these little kernels of whatever it is, of goodness, we can make them grow into something bigger. It can yield harvest for us if we just know how to interact with it correctly. But that takes an open mind. It takes a renewed mind. Oh, it sounds like a Tony Robbins book. Anyways.
Hey, I love Tony Robbins. I don't give that dude's shit changed my life. But so I'm finishing up The Laws of Human Nature, Robert Greene. I'm literally on the last chapter. The last chapter is about facing our mortality to achieve greater things and to actually live our life. Like he's saying that we should be telling ourselves on a daily that we're gonna die, and that's what connects you, me, and even that white supremacist in the corner, like everybody.
Yeah,
like that is a common denominator. And if we were all to think like that, like we're all gonna die, and our time on this earth is very limited, we would feel much more connected to each other and care less about these little, stupid things that don't really matter that much, but we put so much significance on. So I'm trying to. I haven't fully finished the chapter yet, but I'm interviewing tomorrow. So tomorrow's an interview, so I'm really like trying to be like, okay, all right.
The guy who wrote the book?
Yeah.
Oh,
The guy who wrote the
snap.
48 Laws of Power.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay,
Yeah, man.
okay.
I've been waiting for this. This is gonna be my biggest podcast
All
guest.
right, all right. You
So
just after me, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, definitely after you. Just after you. So yeah, it's
Dude.
it's a thing.
Wow. And you did your homework too, even.
Well, I should have finished the book a long time ago. It's a fat ass book though.
Right, right.
It's huge. It's like 3 Bibles.
No, I respect you for still reading books, actually sitting there. And
You like you're not you a smart boy. You a smart little boy. Yeah. No, it's tough to sit there. Dude, it's tough for me to sit there and do anything, to be honest. But I just force myself because when you sit there and you force yourself to just start reading that, even though you kind of hate it, even though your eyes are just kind of like going in and out of focus, after a certain point, then you lock in,
Yeah.
and then it becomes easy.
Right.
But just really sitting there and getting rid of the distractions in your phone,
Yeah.
initially is the toughest part.
I have major respect for writers, especially writers who still write books, especially in this day and age. It's always been impressive when you can say that you wrote something where someone could sit there in a chair and like put their nose in that book and stay there for hours. Sure. That's incredible, but it's even more incredible now when you can still say that even though there are alternatives like phones, iPads, TVs. There's so many things that are much easier, so much more effective for grabbing our attention and holding our attention. But people who have that kind of command with their words and can convey ideas that mesmerizing, that people can keep their nose in a book. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, now you're making me think about this guy that I never met in my life that has no idea that I exist.
Till tomorrow.
Literally changed my life in a way where this book, The Laws of Human Nature, is the book that helped me not quit the first 4 to 5 months of doing stand-up.
Wow.
I quit every day.
Wow.
It's his book, and I'm going to tell him that tomorrow.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like it's
I can't wait to see that.
crazy. It's so practical. Yeah. I'm a little worried that maybe the assistant might have fucked up something a little bit. 'Cause you never know. It's because it's been so long since I talked to him.
Right.
So I'm just like, please make sure this goes through. Please. Because we had to reschedule it,
Right.
you know, because it was supposed to be like last month.
Oh man. Okay.
But we had to reschedule it. And he's like, oh, but he contacted me. He's like, oh, we got this other date. And then I was like, okay, cool.
Dang.
So, dude, my brain is so hazy. I feel so off because I didn't do shit for literally over a week besides like playing other games.
I feel you. But I think rest is important. And rest isn't just physical rest. I think cognitive rest, spiritual rest.
Yeah, but now I feel retarded. I was trying to match you and be like all deep and use cool vocabulary words. And I was like, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I was like, I have no idea what I'm saying.
No,
So I
dude.
think I gotta stay in my lane today and just be
No, man. I love the things you have to say. I love your energy. Like, energy is something I've been learning a lot about in the past year. Yeah, like, people take it for granted, but
Oh, hell yeah, they do.
yeah.
You're sick.
So is it-
People are sick. But by the way, we're just gonna fuck the. I don't know what I was saying because we had to restart the camera. So we'll just.
You're
move
hoping
away
it
from
went
that.
through, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's it. All right. So you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
So energy.
I was complimenting Mike on his energy. You hear it. It's not always something super tangible, but you always sense it. But it's one of those things where you always sense it, even if it's not right in your face. And you need it for anything, whether you're playing games, whether you're playing sports, whether you're fighting, whether you're doing stand-up, you know, whether even if you're negotiating with somebody or talking to someone you care about, energy always makes it better. And it does. It's not always like blah, 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 blah. It's not always loud, but it's always potent.
You said that's so Chinese. It's not always loud. Okay, I had to say that.
Yeah. No, it's the common denominator in all things good, energy. Like what you know, whether it's physical, whether it's intellectual. You need a lot of it in order to do something well. That's what I noticed. And what I was saying earlier about a writer who does what he does well to the point where somebody can keep their nose in a book for hours. That's another thing. Like anything that expresses, anything that attempts to make some kind of an impression on a viewer or a third party, it takes skill. You know, that's one thing that Instagram taught me. So not just pursuing a vanity metric, it taught me a lot about martial arts because it forced me to think about the good things that I derive from my training on a daily basis. But it also taught me technical things. I've been watching a lot of movies. I've always been watching movies my entire life. I love movies. But lately I've been trying to watch with a more critical eye because I'm trying to get into acting. So I've been training as an actor, but I also realized that part of getting good is just watching how good people do it well. So I watch movies and, you know, as a casual viewer, you might go, oh, that was a that movie. Or, oh, that movie was, you know, that movie was shit, you know? Yeah. But I'm starting to look at it from a very technical lens and see why it's good or why it's not good. And what I notice is that framing is really, really important. Like a good director of photography will frame something in a way where he pulls your eyes and makes you look at exactly what he wants you to see. And it's not just movies that you see this. It's in TV, it's in books, it's in Instagram. Like the way you frame it, well, should it be like the full 16:9 or should it be 1:1? You know, you do it in such a way, people who do it well know this either on a conscious or a subconscious level. You pull their eyes to and have them see exactly what you want them to see, because at the end of the day, people who consume this kind of stuff are looking for a vicarious experience. If you're watching movies, if you're watching TV, if you're reading a book, you're trying to escape for a little while. And the people who do it well pull you into the screen and make you exist in a world that's not your own, at least if they've done it right. So that's why people can, you know, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, each one is like that thick, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, you really dive into the world of Middle Earth because it's like for a second you forget that you're sitting in a chair with your nose in a book. Suddenly you're in the Shire. And it should be like that with movies. Like, you're sitting next to Anya Taylor-Joy as she makes the Queen's Gambit. You know, like, that's... If you've done it right, you pull people out of their chair and you give them a passport into another world. And takes energy to do that, takes skill to do that.
I know what you're talking about. Because there's a level of, okay, I'm trying to correlate between me doing stand-up plus when I would do acting in my videos, like certain videos I've done, like the longer videos, not like the cell phone videos, but YouTube shit too. But with stand-up, I completely mess around with my internal energy. Mm-hmm. And I would use that as a metric to see how certain sets would go. Right. So I would say energy, I focused it like this. And of course, that's more of like a feel. Yeah. Like intrinsic energy. Or qualitative energy, right? Mm-hmm. Qualitative metric, whatever you want to call it. And then however they reacted after the sets of the shows, I would remember the feeling I had with my energy and how I controlled it. Kind of like maybe like a kung fu thing. I don't know. Like chi, who knows? I don't know what it is. But I would literally write down in my notes after the sets and said my energy was like this, and then and then this is the result that came after. Even in the moments, because before, like you were saying, sometimes when we think high energy, we think that means just being loud and crazy. Yeah, that's not the case. I would experiment with that same level of energy, but in like a controlled fire with like a low flame in the quote unquote lulls of my sets where I'm not all like, yeah, right. But I just like, and I'd even practice staring at the audience, not saying anything, with this intense energy as if I'm like jumping around and going crazy. And I've had a lot of people tell me that something that I had that on stage is presence. Mm-hmm. Like people I don't even know would say, dude, you have like really great presence. Right. And I attribute that to experimenting with this type of energy. Like it's like you feel it and you just like shoot it out from your eyes, but also like your body, like
Yeah.
and it's almost like who's that guy in the X-Men who changes his body to steel?
Colossus.
Colossus.
Yeah.
That's what it would feel like when I'm really using my energy and consciously aware of it, and transmuting it to whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
It felt like my body was kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like a rock, and that's my way of also saying on like a nonverbal level, like you guys aren't gonna shake me. Like you think I'm gonna leave? You think I'm gonna get shook because you're not laughing at this one moment in time, or because you pull out your phone and your fucking girlfriend doesn't care what I have to say. Like I'm not gonna ever leave. Like I'm here, and I let them know whatever this energy is. It's really hard to like explain it, but that's something that I learned more and more over time, and even just life. Like I would experiment with this energy when I'm talking to strangers.
Right.
Like how super focused can I be with this energy and control it and bring them into my world? If they're having a bad day, like how can I bring them in with this energy, this controlled, like positive energy?
Yeah, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
And I think you make a good point, because it isn't always big and loud and what you expect it to be, but it's always direct, and it's always potent. It's always sincere. Sometimes you talk under your voice and people hear it louder than they would ever if you shouted it from a mountaintop, if you have energy. And it's crazy how it's also not related to how physically tired you are. Because I remember I think that was one of the first things I learned about it. In acting class, my teacher would always say, like, energy. You needed to act well. You needed to act big, happy, but you also needed to act sad. You need it for all things, And a lot of people always make the mistake of saying, "Oh, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning. I didn't have my coffee." And she's like, "It doesn't matter, because even that is something you can use, and that's where you derive your energy. Like it's honestly assessing where you're at, and not cowing to defeat. Finding a way to use what you have on your plate in front of you right now, even if it's bad, even if it's negative, and still finding a way to channel it into something that's going to work for you." Wow. I still don't fully understand that, but I find a lot of moments where that rings true.
That I resonate with, because when I would be, doing background shit for like all day, hours, 12, 14 hours, and then be going off of 3.5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, and this could be like a few days of this, and I'm exhausted.
Right.
Then still, doing a 1 or 2 sets after to practice.
Right. Oh man.
And I'm exhausted as shit. And my excuse in my head, I'd have to battle myself every day mentally. Like, you could just go home and get some sleep, man.
Yeah.
But then I remind myself, how bad do you want this? Like, you're actually gonna quit? Like, this is you quitting.
Right.
Kill yourself then. You might as well have killed yourself, right? So then I go up, and then I had to learn to get that out of my head and be friends with whatever state I'm in at that moment. Even if I'm exhausted, I'll just be like, whatever level that is at that moment, I'd be present with it, embrace it, and then just do what I do there with that energy, with wherever I'm at, and I think it's really just full level presence,
right,
and acceptance of the moment,
right,
your state, where you are, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because when I started comparing, it's not gonna go good because you're not high energy like you are when you're fully rested.
Right.
But then you have to remind yourself, in the future, when you are traveling, when you're doing the road, and you're not able to sleep, and people are paying you to do this shit, do you really think you're gonna be at your best top shape at all time? No. UFC fighters, are they always in perfect shape? No, they're
never.
Injured. They're always injured.
Yeah.
How do you work with that? So I would learn from, Kobe and these athletes, and how they work with their injuries, and because you still have to train at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Even though you're injured.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not gonna be 100%, but that 90 or 85% that you are at that moment is better than if you kept trying to fully heal and then get back into it. You see what I mean?
I do see what
So
you mean.
that's what I learned mentally by forcing myself to do that boot camp. And I'm sure that's also the same thing you got, especially because, working 60 to 70 hours a week,
Yeah.
That's a very similar thing, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm really glad that that's like a closed chapter in my life, but totally. What I'm starting to realize is that all great people have certain things in common. And I think a lot of it is rooted in what you just said. Just knowing that you got to show up because it's for the sake of something that you love. And it's where your heart is. And if you allow yourself to make excuses to be away from that, then what is the point? And that's why I like watching. I love following the UFC. I love boxing, and it's not necessarily that I like to watch people punch each other's brains out. That can be fun too sometimes. But like, it's not that I want to see people get hurt. I want to see how people find their greatness, because they're in some of the most extreme situations in the world, especially like that's rooted into the nature of blood sport. We're living in a time where we no longer engage people with swords and shields. We don't like meet each other in planes and slice each other open anymore. But there's a part of our nature that needs to see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as consumers, that's why we tune into this kind of stuff. But really why I'm watching it is because it's people who willingly put themselves in that kind of chaos and still find a way to prevail. And these are people like you and me. They wake up in the morning and feel that inertia that keeps them from wanting to go to the gym, but they still overcome it. And they still drag themselves in there. They still punch the bag as many times as they need to. They still get their cardio in. They still get the practice in. But that's just the bricks and mortar. The thing that really, really makes them is it's X. It's different for everybody, but it does require a lot of energy. It requires a lot of passion and inspiration. And I love looking into each person's story and seeing how it is they derive that, because it looks different for everybody. Everybody needs to do it. If you want to do well in this life, you got to find your own greatness. It might not be on some big stage where a bunch of people recognize you, but for your sake and probably for the sake of the people you love, you got to do it. And I like seeing people do it on a huge scale, like a Conor McGregor. He was just a poor kid. He was a plumber's assistant from Crumlin in Ireland, and he turned himself into easily the most famous fighter in the whole world.
And there was no Irish champions.
Exactly. He's the first from his country to do it. Yeah. And the one thing I notice about him is he never doubted himself. Even though every single external factor that we look for indication tells him you can't do it. Like, this is basically 99.99999% that you're going to fail. But if you look at the odds, everybody is going to fail. It's 99.9999% for anybody. But you can't think of it in terms of odds or percentages or likeliness that you succeed. You just got to do it and make it happen. It's really crazy.
Yeah, because that's where numbers is bullshit.
I know. Yeah, okay, there we go.
Like,
there
literally, because that's the fault. Yeah, numbers don't lie, but where are you grabbing these stats from? Who are these people? What did they do?
Right.
Like that. That's why when I hear certain stats, I'm like, I don't really give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Or when they say, oh, it's going to be hard, I'm like, living is hard. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're even here is hard.
Yes.
So why, I've had so many, but it's tough what you're doing. It's almost as if they wanted to see me buckle and be like, yeah, I guess you're right. Because sometimes I'll test it out and I'll purposely feign weakness in a way of where, for certain people where I feel like, I don't know if they really want to see me win. So then I'll pretend that I have a doubt about something.
Wow.
Like an actual doubt.
Yeah.
Now I don't do it often, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
we're in it together.
Right.
But there's certain people who aren't in it, and I'm like, I'm a little suspicious about this person because I feel like they get a little too excited when things don't go right.
Right.
And I say certain things. And some of these people are actually fellow comedians. I'm not going to say their names.
Yeah.
And their eyes would light up at my misfortune.
Wow.
Or my doubt. And I was like, okay, I'm keeping you away. And they have no idea how I feel.
Right.
And they have no idea I even did that. because it's on such a small level, nobody would ever know. You know?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've really learned in these past 2 years of doing it. Because I actually made a tweet yesterday. I said, because I was journaling about my past 2 years and what I've accomplished, the trials and tribulations, just things I had to deal with while still going and, you know, pursuing my dreams and shit, right? So I made this tweet because something that was really there to try to stop me, who feigned support, was actually the girlfriend at the time.
Wow.
And I wrote, 1 year ago, my girlfriend at the time kept causing drama before important events regarding my goals and dreams. Like, she would start shit before a big show.
Wow.
Like, every time. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I asked her, is it me? Is there something I can do better? And she said, fine, I'll admit it. I'm just jealous that you found your thing and I haven't found mine.
Damn.
She admitted that. But I had to bring it out of her. I had to keep saying, well, like, what's going on? Like, is it me? Like, what? Like, why does this keep happening? Am I losing my mind? And I was like begging, and she admitted it. Wow. So she was trying to sabotage me because of her own unrealized potential. And I think that's majority of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So instead of having the courage to try to find out what it is, or even if they know what it is and doing it, instead of doing that, they go the opposite way. They go the way of self-destruction and pulling down those around them.
Yeah.
In the explosion. Bring them into the blast radius. And there's a lot of people who do this in little ways. I feel like now you're thinking about certain moments here and there, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised. It's the little tiny things that we have to consciously be aware of. And that's part of energy in every interaction. Mm-hmm. Full, pure energy is pure presence. And when you're fully present, you can really see who reveals themselves.
Right. In
the tiniest of ways. But these little tiny things are huge things, man. And a lot of them, they'll act like they support you. And there's times where they do on paper support you, but underneath that, because humans, every emotion we feel is never pure.
Right.
There's levels to it.
Yes.
There's a dynamic to it, right? So you can love somebody, but you can almost hate them at the same time too. Like almost, not actual hate, but it's literally like love and hate, or respect. And you can have respect and admiration, but also like you want to bring them, like you want to take their shit. Kind of like the last fight with Anderson Silva and
Uriah Hall.
Uriah Hall. He loved him as a mentor, or not a mentor, but like somebody he looked up to. You know, growing up watching him fight.
Right.
But at the same time, he wanted to take his mantle and say, like, I need to see what I'm made of.
Right.
Like, I need to destroy you.
Yes.
Like, you help build who I am right now because you exist. But I kind of need to destroy your existence to confirm to me that I deserve a right to exist.
Right.
In that manner. That's why after he fucked him up, like when he cried, I was tearing.
I almost started crying.
I could feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a similar aspect. I really feel, but the difference is with unrealized potential, without using that energy, it becomes self-destructive.
Yeah.
Just is not good. It's not good. It comes out really fucked up ways. And a lot of our friends around us, no matter how religious they are, no matter how like, you know, caring they seem to be, there's always a little bit of resentment that I've been seeing. When you really like, I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of them because they're not trying to hurt me.
Right.
Some have tried to hurt me,
right,
and I cut them out. But there's a bit of that resentment because we're doing what they wish they had the courage to do. The courage to fail. Mm-hmm. To prove to ourselves that we have a right to exist in our own manner. Damn, that was deep, huh?
That was deep,
because I tried to be deep earlier and I failed. And I think I succeeded. Oh,
wow.
shit.
Hold on, these goosebumps are slowly receding.
You can tell I've been thinking a lot, huh?
Yeah.
I've been journaling a lot.
Dang, dude.
I've been.
That was incredibly profound. And that is one of those things that sheds light on a lot of things I've been observing throughout this year on my end. It makes everything make sense. Yeah. Like, it makes everything make sense. And what you said about nothing's pure. People are nuanced people, and there's levels to this. You can love someone truly, sincerely, but you can also hate them. You can resent them. And wow, what you said about potential, unrealized potential becoming toxic. That's so true. And I hope people who listen to your podcast will take that to heart and make sure that doesn't become them. You know, like I think everybody needs to strive to find a way to realize their potential. And maybe it's something they haven't even explored yet, but they should be searching for that every day. And blessed are those who found it already. Yeah, it's so crazy because I think a lot of the people you've met are very overt in their actions. And maybe you just, you've had the fortune or misfortune of meeting people who are at least that decided in their heads that they want to be like this to somebody else. I think there's a lot of people who mean well and are still doing it, you know, and especially amongst our loved ones, our families, our friends. People want on the cognitive level, on the rational level, they want us to succeed and do what we're doing well. But there is that brightness that comes in their eyes when they hear you failing. And I think it's just human nature. It's just this messed up part of our wiring where we gain some kind of relish, some kind of enjoyment out of other people's misery. It's really strange.
No, but it's there.
It's
in all
totally
of us.
there.
It's completely in all of us. So I'm not. So when I talk like that, it was like to those that are listening, I'm not saying that to make it seem like I'm an angel because I'm not. We all have a shadow side,
right?
You know, we all have this darkness within us, but I think it's good to be aware of it and to not act like you don't have it.
Right.
Because once you act like you don't have it, then you do really passive aggressively evil shit.
Yeah.
And then justify your behavior and then, you know, gaslight yourself into thinking you're just this angel.
Yeah.
When none of us are.
Right. I just before I came here, I was listening to a clip from Joe Rogan's podcast talking about celebrity pastors.
Celebrity pastors?
Just because, like, there's always that story in the news. It's the pastor of this church with millions of members in his congregation.
Private jets.
Yeah, private jets just cheated on his wife, and now everything is blowing up in his face. And, like, it's always dark. Like, dark. And it's even darker than you'd expect from a normal person. Mm-hmm. Because I think when people... like, because people should be good. People should strive to be good. But people should be good rather than spending energy on making themselves look good. Because I think when that happens, you get something like there's always a big skeleton in the closet when it's something like that. When people aren't honest with themselves and try to paint themselves in a certain light when they know that there's darkness that hasn't been properly dealt with, you know. And maybe that's true for me. So hopefully I don't go out and like kill someone.
It's because like what I found for me is when I always tried to be perfect and be this nice guy, mm-hmm. I started to resent myself. Mm-hmm. And I started to resent the people that I was doing that to.
Really?
Even though they didn't tell me to do it.
Wow.
But when I was being really fake growing up, because I thought that's what I was supposed to be to keep the peace. Mm-hmm. And also because I was afraid of confrontation. I was afraid of being assertive and really speaking my mind. Right. So I just always played like super peacekeeper to the point where it was just I was putting on a front. And then I had this really dark side that was growing because I was suppressing my true aggression. Like our aggression has to come out in little ways, even if that means confronting that guy at the store who cut us in line. Right. Like we have to be like, hey man, like I was standing here. Yeah. But if we don't say anything, then it just builds up within us, and then it gets to the point where after years of this, then it comes out in maybe a relationship or who knows what, right?
Yeah.
And we get really weird, and then we say, no, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about, babe? It's like, yes, you did that. Like you always pretend that you don't know what you're doing, but I know you're doing it. You're trying to hurt my feelings. It's like, no, babe, what are you talking about? Remember when I took you to your surprise birthday party? I did that. That's not the same thing, babe. It's not. What do you mean? You know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in this. Right, I've done that shit. But But then once I started to accept that I have a shadow side and I didn't beat myself up for it or guilted myself, and I was just like, dude, this is a part of me. Like sometimes I want people to fucking fail. Like sometimes, like I admit, I'm like sometimes I will look at somebody and I'm like, I kind of want them to fucking fail, right? But that's because I'm not doing good at that moment in time. But I have those moments where I feel really evil, and you know I want bad stuff to happen to people sometimes. You know, and then once I accepted that, and I was like, oh, it was like a wash of relief. Like, oh, I'm okay to be like this. I'm okay to be this imperfect human being who has like this side. I'm not. It's not pure evil. It's just like we have this weird darkness within all of us, right? Where it can stem from childhood trauma, whatever it is. But then once you accept it and embrace, like, dude, I am a completely imperfect human being with problems, but also who is a good person at the same time. It's okay to be this. Yeah. Whatever this is, you're allowed to love this thing that you are.
Right. It's kind of like horror movies, right? When there's a monster or a creature that's menacing the main characters, it's always scariest when you only catch glimpses of it or when you only have suggestions that it's there. Yeah. Almost always. In fact, I would actually say always. The second you shine a light on it, the second you see it in its entirety and in all of its plainness, suddenly its power is completely diminished. Like it exactly. I think It Chapter 2 sucked compared to the first one because you're used to Pennywise at this point.
Yeah.
He's not much different than he was in the first film, even though he was freaking scary in the first one. You've seen it. And I think it's like that with everything. But especially this darkness of which you speak, everybody has it. And when people are too self-righteous to acknowledge that they have it, it's like only catching glimpses of the monster. And the more you regard it that way, the more you fear it, the more you don't acknowledge it, the more power it has. And that's when it manifests in really powerful, destructive ways, when it becomes too big, too powerful. I think you're right. We have to realize that we're not perfect beings, that most of us, by and large, are trying to be good people. But the negative aspects of ourselves rear its ugly head, their ugly heads from time to time. And I think rather than ignoring them and pretending they don't exist, it's better to fully acknowledge them and learn how to deal with them. And I think that looks different for everybody, but I think that's a massively important step or measure we need to take.
Yeah, because once you can accept that part of you, which goes back into it ties in with the embracing yourself as well, so that you can walk around with this certain type of energy. Because I find over time, the more I embrace myself and accept every part of me, and I don't shy away from who I am, I don't have to try to exude a certain energy. Yeah, it's just kind of always there, which I don't really know at times because this is just how I operate now. But it took a long time to get to this point of full acceptance. So the thing that I see online a lot from people who watch me is they do say that you have good energy, and and I'll ask them in live streams like, "What do you mean by that?" Because I just kind of want to know, and it kind of says it is what it sounds like, basically. But that I think that's why like Bobby Lee and certain comedians, they're just so them, and they're so quirky and weird, and they put everything out there because they're like, I'm a freak. Yeah. This is it. Like, this is who I am. Yeah. That people end up loving them for that reason. And there's also a lot of people who just are maybe they don't know how to reveal certain parts of themselves, and that weirdness about them or their faults. Because you have to look into yourself to really. It's tough fucking work to do that. Like, you have to intentionally do it. Yeah. Like, really look into it. And I think it's kind of like almost living vicariously through certain people sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. Vicarious seems to be that word that keeps popping up. I think that's what everyone's looking for, that vicarious experience. And I have massive respect for people who realize they just want to put themselves out there and be an example for other people. Even some people aren't even good examples, but they're real examples, and people can learn from that. It's, Are we thinking of the same person? Possibly. Maybe.
Hold on.
Is that, are we thinking the same person?
No.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Do you still know what I'm saying?
No. I lost.
Okay, how about that?
Okay.
You still don't know?
No.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not political here, guys.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that interest me about certain people.
Yeah.
I'm literally watching his documentary right now.
Really? How are you dealing in this aftermath? If we can call it an aftermath, we might still be in the shit.
I don't know, dude, because like the way I am, I've cut this stuff out before in the past on my podcast. But
Right.
I'm going to keep this all in because people need to know how I feel. So I don't care if you voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you voted for Biden. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their reasons. Some people, yeah, maybe it's because you're a white supremacist, but other people, it's simply because you've always been a Republican and that's how you view things. There's a multitude of reasons. It doesn't automatically mean you're a fucking racist. And just because you voted for Biden doesn't mean you're not a fucking racist.
You're right.
That's just not the case. That doesn't mean you're an angel, though, because there's a lot of people that will act like that they're the angel because, well, I voted for Biden, so that's me. But that's why they get so mad at those that voted for Trump, because they know inside they're kind of a piece of shit too, but they don't want to admit it. So that's where this us versus them mentality is coming from. A lot of that. It's a mixture of lack of identity and knowing who we are, which leads to lack of understanding towards humans and their complexities, because you don't understand yourself and you don't realize that you're more than just this black or white thing.
Right.
So then you project that onto everybody else around you, because it goes back to the self-destructiveness.
Yeah.
When you don't know who the fuck you are, when you have all this unrealized potential, you project that and you weaponize it.
Yes.
With, in this case, words.
Yeah.
And sometimes physical action.
Yeah.
Right? But you see it all over the social media. You know?
I see it not just in social media. Like, I've seen it amongst people I know. People.
Oh, the political stuff?
Well, political stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I am actually pretty well insulated from all the political turmoil that's happening in our country. I mean, on the social media level, my feed is just like people doing flips and watching like movies.
You hacked into the algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna like flippy people.
Right.
Flippy corkscrews.
I guess I'm just surrounded by people who don't really care about these things, even if they should. And I enjoy the insulation to a certain degree.
Yeah, but those people that say, "Oh, you should," or "You're a bad American," or "You're not an adult," fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Mike says what I don't have the courage to say.
I don't give a fuck. Hollywood's never gonna want me anyway. So what you're saying.
Yeah, no, but what you said, you've said really, really profound things. But people who lack a sense of identity are also dangerous. It goes hand in hand with having all that unrealized potential. It turns toxic. And not only does it destroy you, it's going to be taken out on somebody else. And I've seen it firsthand. Devastating things. People who didn't know who they were. It's so weird. Like, it seems like an innocuous thing to people who don't know who they are. But then at one point, it always explodes in somebody's face. I had a friend. It's not my story to tell. But case in point. Basically, I had a friend who was engaged. And what I learned from it fell apart. Like, they were ready to get married, and then suddenly they went to not getting married, but immediately after that, not in a relationship, and immediately after that, one of them hating the other person with all of their being. Wow. Yeah, and it's so crazy because this was in a Christian setting. Okay, so Christians like to. I'm a Christian, so
he's allowed to say this.
Yeah. People in Christian culture like to take they want to take every measure to ensure that their marriages are going to be successful, because we got this statistic that says 50% of all marriages fall apart, right? So marriage is seen as a very significant spiritual act, as well as a physical one, as well as a legal thing. So it requires a lot of counseling, a lot of guidance. But I think the mistake that a lot of people have done is they fall into thinking that it's some kind of automated process. Oh, as long as we go to counseling, as long as somebody else has control over a relationship, that means we're going to be fine, right? A lot of people like to think of relationships as automated transactions. It's so weird. And this isn't just Christians, but Christians definitely. And counseling is no guarantee of success if you don't put in the work yourself.
Relationship counseling?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No, any kind of counseling. If you just go to somebody and think that they're going to do all the work, it's going to fail.
Well, my last relationship, we broke up right after the couples counseling. It was fucking bullshit. Like, hold your thought, but I got to say this real quick.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this recently too, especially because I was listening to Dr. Drew and how he was doing like counseling basically on a podcast for Bobby Lee and Kalila. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why did the guy that I went to not say any of that? He sat there and just said, "And how did that make you feel?" The whole time. That's all he said.
Oh my God.
He didn't interject. He didn't say, "Well, maybe, maybe he was thinking this way because that." He wasn't the mediator.
Yeah.
He didn't say maybe that's what he meant or maybe that's what she meant. He just listened to both of us scream at each other through him.
Yeah.
And tell our sides of the stories. And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll see you next week." And that was it. Or I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is done."
Maybe it became an automated process for him too.
Yeah, he didn't care at all. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was meant to end anyways. But anyway, so you're
maybe, yeah.
So I just went.
Well, I mean, that plays exactly into my point. It's like we can't go into this mindless. It can't autopilot our... Autopilot is never the answer, is basically, I guess, what I'm getting at. But the thing is, the second they realized that the relationship wasn't going to survive, not only did it just end and they went their separate ways, one of the people went absolutely ballistic on the other. And it's like this is a Christian couple taking all of the holy steps needed to ensure a healthy relationship, and it turned into this, like utter disdain for another human being, which is not okay by God's standards, especially for the person that you were going to spend the rest of your life with. But I think that resulted from this particular person not having a solid idea of who the person was supposed to be before they went into the relationship. It's easy to fill that gap with things that aren't supposed to go there. People like to fill in that sense of identity with things that shouldn't be there, like relationships, like
facts.
Yeah, like job titles, like stuff like that. People don't like. That's one of the big lessons that everybody needs to learn. And somehow, something in our society tells us otherwise. But people need to know who they are and what it is they truly care about. Otherwise, they fill it in with something else. And when the stress test comes, and it inevitably comes, if it's not properly placed, it's going to get crushed. And it becomes toxic. You're right. Yeah. And what the crazy thing about this toxicity is that it doesn't just kill you, it kills somebody else.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so scary. Yeah. I'm going to take what you said and really, really think about that, because it's facts. That what you said was true. People need to know who they are, and people need to realize their potentials. That's
why now I've been dating here and there, and it's been very short-lived. And it's not a sad thing. It's actually a good thing, because before I would desperately cling on to them. Because first of all, I would think, well, why would anybody like me? So I need to keep this person around. I don't think that way anymore. But and the other side of that would be that I just need somebody there, because it validates my existence. And that I can be loved,
right?
And B, that it's like an ego thing too. So people know I'm in a relationship,
right?
So that maybe girls would be like, "Oh, he is that type of guy," or guys would be like, "Oh, he's this Asian guy who can get a hot girl," or whatever. It's like for dumb reason. That's also a lot of the reason why I stayed in the last one too. It sounds really stupid, but that was
no. I understand that.
That was fucking stupid, but. Yeah, now when I date, I look for I look to see, do they do anything? Like, is there something they care about more than the typical shit that we're programmed to think we have to care about
Right.
in society?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you really care about? Like, what are you pursuing? It doesn't have to be some crazy thing like trying to be an entrepreneur or like a social media star or some shit. It's like, what is something that makes you strive to be better?
Right.
And which leads automatically to you having to hold yourself accountable. Because if you don't have that ability to hold yourself accountable, you're always going to blame me for shit and have victim mentality. And I'm tired of dating people like that. Yeah, I'm just really tired of that. And I thought about this last night after I was on a date. I was just like, I might be alone forever. Like, I thought that. I was like, I just might. Because it's so hard to find somebody that meshes well with me and my personality, and then I mesh with their personality and who they are. And at the same time, now trying to find somebody who can understand the way I think about things, but they also have their own way of thinking about pursuit of whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
To be the greatest version of yourself, whatever that means. I know that sounds super self-serving, but that leads to us exercising. That leads to us you taking acting classes, work fucking tricking at the park because the gyms are closed. You still keep doing shit. There's a reason why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is something that I'm struggling with. Because I came to terms with the fact that I actually do want intimacy. But I kept telling myself I don't need it. But I do want that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want it with somebody just because I settle with them, just because I don't want to be alone.
Right.
I'd rather be alone than that.
Right.
So I'm figuring out the whole landscape of this. And maybe it's me of being afraid of intimacy. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid of intimacy. I'm afraid of getting into another relationship and giving myself to somebody and then having them end up being the last relationship.
Right.
Who's there to actually destroy me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm when people ask me what I'm afraid of that more than death itself. Literally, I'm more afraid of letting somebody in and then getting so attached to them that they are going to they have such a big influence on how I'm going to feel or maneuver through life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a scary thought. And I know that's part of having the courage to jump into certain relationships, but like, when you get with the wrong person, that's your whole fucking life, man. I've seen it. I've seen people, like even my uncle, like, dude, he's fucked. He married the wrong person. He's gone. He's not even in the family anymore.
Oh man.
It's scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah, it's super scary.
Shit. I'm just like everything I'm saying. Why do you make me think about these things?
You might actually see the whites of my eyes now.
I know, right? Like, what the fuck? That's why sometimes I envy my friends that are in relationships, not so much because they have somebody, but because they have the courage to do it, to jump into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I literally admitted to myself in just the past few days that that's my fear.
I think, like we were saying earlier, rather than having it be a monster that lurks in the background, bringing that front and center, shining a light on it, I think that leads to you eventually gaining power over it. Like, I think that's the nature of fear. And even though I know that, I still have trouble doing that myself. But definitely with relationships, that's one of them. It's a feat to be in a relationship successfully. People tend to think of it as a trophy, as an achievement, something that sends a message to other people that you are someone who's capable of being accepted by someone in that way. I think, especially my background in martial arts and tricking, and it's very much centered around achievement in what you do, right? And merit. But I think when you come into a relationship with that mentality, it tends to play against you. Like, I have to be good enough for someone. I have to be able to do this so that somebody will like me or that somebody will love me. I think that's actually very dangerous. And I only started to realize that recently. Like, your love for another person is ultimately its own thing, you know? And it shouldn't be dependent upon how good they look or what they can do or, you know, stuff like that. And we fall into this thinking, it sounds dumb, but we think that all the time, even when we think we don't. Like, you know, like we said last time, being able to do a backflip or a corkscrew is not going to make girls like you. So when you find a girl who does like you, why should you go on thinking that? You know, like, it's not
like continue going to think that that girls don't like.
Or why should you go on thinking that, like, it's your ability to do this or that determines whether this person who's already decided to be with you stays with you? You know, I think it's its own thing, and I can't really give you an alternate thing to tell you that it is. Like, that's something you learn with the other person. It's a process, and I think people need to think of terms and people need to think of things in terms of it's a process. Like, this is something that we have to get better at over time. If skills, it's easy to think about that. This is something you hone. Even like I like to drive stick shift as opposed to automatic because.
Are you making fun of me?
No. I'm just.
Are you saying I'm a lesser
you just belong
of a
to a
man?
lower two of humanity. That was already a stick shift. I'm saying
I always get a little jealous when I find out people can drive shift. I can't. It's such a manly thing, though. It's manly.
Right. At the end of the day, it's just giving you something else to do. But I maintain that there's advantages. The biggest advantage, in my opinion, is that it turns the art of driving into an art. Like, people take driving for granted. When you drive automatic, you just put it in drive and you hit the gas pedal and make sure you don't get pulled over. Right. Just make sure you don't get pulled over by cops, right? But then when you're driving stick, so much more is under your control. And how well it adds nuance to driving because you can drive stick and you can drive stick well. You know, when you can drive to the point where someone rides in your car and doesn't go like, you know, like isn't having like.
That's so accurate.
Yeah, like if you can drive someone in your car while you're driving stick and not have them think about whether your car's stick or automatic, that's something to get better. It adds room for improvement. It turns driving into an art. And if you treat something like that as an art, you pride yourself on getting better at it, and that prevents things in the long run, like getting tickets or getting into accidents. So because you revere this act that you're doing. People get into accidents when they take what they're doing for granted.
True.
And not just driving, like anything. If they take what they're doing as something mindless or something they could just coast through, that's when things fall apart.
Damn, now you made me fucking think about my everything. Social media. That's why you haven't been growing. Because you thought that people would just continue following you if you just post anything. Because he's such a likable guy. Wow, no. But they don't. But who knows you? Not everybody knows you. You're a nobody. You're a small little speck in this huge, massive universe. You're an ant. Kill yourself. No,
your inner voice sounds a lot like Adam Sandler.
You need to go get on your thing. Gotta go to your home.
Okay, I don't know.
Very entertaining to listen to. No, yeah.
You want to hear me just talk like that for the next 20 minutes?
Actually, I was like kind of like wondering if I could throw names at you and just like do the next section.
Okay, let's do it.
I love your Yoel Romero. Like, I always think about your Yoel Romero, and it like, even if I'm having the shittiest day, like, it's that much brighter when I think about you doing Yoel Romero.
It's funny because I was actually like yesterday thinking I'll make a video about that for TikTok.
Dude, you should totally.
Yeah.
It's so.
You want to be soldier? Go. UFC champion. I will beat you down to the ground. Yeah. And then Gandalf's like, you shall not pass.
Wow, I never. Yeah. Just one day, one door over.
Yeah. You're Hogan. Joe Hogan. You okay? All right, give me something.
Okay. Can you do Mike Tyson talking about sex education?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things we gotta figure out about, custom model. He told me before that sometimes if you get into a sexual altercation with somebody, consensual of course, that sometimes they want you to do things that you don't really want to do, like they say, hey, can you suck my toes? And I'm like, I don't want to suck your toes. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncertain about what I'm gonna do with my life. I need to leave. I need to go now.
Can you sell me a car as Donald Trump?
Okay. Oh damn, Donald Trump. All right. I don't really do Donald Trump, but let me see.
Now you. This car is the best car you've never seen in your life. There's only one car, 5 cars.
Fuck, I sound like this my old business partner.
I'm hearing Trump.
Okay, all right. I'll just commit to it. Whatever.
All right,
it is what it is.
There's a lot of cars everywhere, but this car is the best car in the world. A lot of people want it. A lot of people don't have it, but it's the car that you didn't even know you want. It's spectacular. It's phenomenal. No other car is great. Chinese people, their cars aren't great. I'm sure that they're Japanese. Same thing. I know a lot of Chinese Asian people. They look the same. They all look the same.
That was really good, dude.
Yeah, I gotta work on that. I can do a pretty decent Obama.
Oh yes.
This one I can actually. Now, there's a couple. Now, being the former president of the United States of America, lot of things we can learn. I have learned in the past 8 years of my presidency that there's a lot of idiots in the world.
Mr. Former President, I heard about a movie from before my time called Back to the Future. Can you tell me what that's about?
Oh, fantastic film. Fantastic film. Can't believe it was made so long ago. When I watch it, I feel like I'm in the past. To the future. Did I mess that up, Michelle? Oh, dang. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay. Can you advocate sobriety as Conor McGregor?
Oh, sobriety. What's his alcohol name again?
Proper number 12.
Proper 12.
See, mothers against drunk drive. Alcohol. There's a lot of people that want to. They want you to drink alcohol. They want to say you're a fucking idiot. What are you talking about? I do whatever you want to do. I have whiskey. It's got proper 12. I understand that. But there's a couple of things in life that you can't take advantage of. You can't take advantage of your sobriety. What do you think of? He's gonna come in with, to me when you're taking a shot and they come in with the punch, you come with the left hook. I'm like, you come with the left hook of alcoholism. I come in with the, I sound Chinese now.
I was struggling hard. There's times where I can do Conor like there, but I was struggling.
Dude,
I was trying to find it.
the stutter was spot on. I'm like,
Every time I go to
Okay, we'll do one more. Give me
okay, all right, one more. Can you do Jackie Chan selling dish detergent?
Yeah. I don't want no trouble.
That's it. I can't. Jackie Chan. I want to meet somebody who can actually imitate Jackie Chan because his voice is so. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's so unique, right?
Yeah,
I
not
can't
even
do
just
it.
the accent, but like the tonality of it.
Right.
It's tough.
Andy does. Okay, so Andy has an ear and an eye. Like I think one of his biggest superpowers as a martial artist and just as a person is he hears something and sees something and he understands it to a very, very high level, and he doesn't even realize it. So when he does impressions of people, it's like spot on.
Wow.
Because like his ear just picks up on things, and he can't tell you what inflection is or what that is, but he like knows how to reproduce it. So when he does Jackie Chan, it's like spot on. It's really funny.
Damn, I want to
And
hear that so bad.
It's so funny because if you ask him to do an impression, it sucks. But then if he's just doing it
like naturally, right?
yeah. If he's not thinking about it and he just reproduces somebody's voice, it's like, dude, that sounded exactly like them.
Yeah, I think that has to tie in with the presence thing. Like when
Yeah.
when people don't tell me what to do, that's when it comes out the best. When it's just like, oh, I'm gonna do it right now, because you know, like now there's a couple things that we're gonna talk about. First couple things, you know, like that was a little bit more, slightly more spontaneous, than previous, but I want to get to the point where I can just be like, boom.
But giving you prompts, you rose to the occasion. I was very impressed.
I did my best.
I think impressions. I love it when comedians do impressions well. I love it.
I love doing bad impressions. They're the funniest to me because there's something that anchors the impression to make it accurate, like one variable of it, and then the rest is just sucks. And those are my favorite.
Right.
So it could be like a Conor McGregor getting like his stutter down mixed with the way he may say things, but everything else about it's just horrible. You know? So I think those are the best.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I think Joe Rogan is underrated when it comes to impressions because he doesn't do it a lot, but on his podcast,
he does a Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
Good. He's done some other stuff where he did do impressions, and I actually laughed.
Yeah,
but he doesn't do it often. You're right.
Right. It's weird. It's just like that thing that's in his bag of tricks, but like he'll feel it and then just go to something else. But maybe that's what makes it so potent. Like something you have in your pocket, but you don't feel like you need to resort to it. You know.
That's true. Actually, I rarely do impressions on stand-up. I used to do it all the time growing up. That was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
But maybe that was just me trying to like get the other stuff down before. But
that's good.
Lately, I've been trying to do.
Yeah. If the spirit moves you, you know, I love impressions.
I could tell. You were hyper focused the whole time. You're like, all right, now here's the scenario. All right, you're gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's struggling to pick up a banana peel from the floor.
Can I get that one?
Okay, all right, I'll do that. I just made that up right now. All right, let's do it. Cool. He goes like, here's a banana peel. He goes,
Oh, there's a banana peel that I dropped on the floor. It's a banana peel. How do you pick up a banana peel if you can't pick up the banana peel? These hands are too strong. Now there's a... How do you say it's a... Total Recall.
That was good.
yeah. Around the end, I was like, just do the way you would normally do it, which is exaggeration.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to make it too realistic and I wasn't having fun. So I think when I just fuck around, that's when it's the most, because it's not that accurate, but it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. No, when you made those grunts, that sounded exactly like him.
Yeah, that's like taking one thing that, because you know the scene where you seen Total Recall, where his like eyes are gonna explode. He's like in space, or like when the woman robot mask around him. Yeah, he's like
Banana peel. Sometimes I feel like when I'm working out, I'm coming. When I touch my knee, I'm coming. Ass to grass, I'm coming.
Damn.
Sorry guys.
So good.
I apologize.
Oh my gosh.
I apologize.
That should just be like the whole podcast. You doing impressions.
You do an impression. You have impressions. I know you do.
Dude.
I know you hear Joe Rogan do an impression and you're like, okay, I can do an impression. And you
I
do it
don't
under your
know.
voice.
I can't do Joe.
No. I'm not saying Joe Rogan, but
Okay.
I know you do them under your breath to entertain yourself. I bet you do that shit.
I can only do a Cantonese accent with with any kind of confidence. Anything else, it's like I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
I love Cantonese accents.
Sometimes I'll be driving, and I figure Hollywood being Hollywood, I have to be able to embody my people, right? So sometimes I'll talk to myself out loud, and I'll say, for example, I'm going to Mike Kim's house to do a podcast. And if I were my dad from 1960, or still from Hong Kong, sorry, I tend not to enunciate my K's. Like, I don't know. I like, I love the Cantonese accent, and a lot of people do it, but like they don't really know because they're not Cantonese.
It got better as you did. You started committing more as you went. That's what was so funny. Because at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, really?
Like, boo.
I was like, you could do better than that.
Yeah.
And then after a few seconds, it just like you like went into it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit. So you were imitating a guy who has a Cantonese guy from China who lived in America for 40 years.
Yeah.
But then
My dad.
you Benjamin buttoned it backwards.
Oh, okay.
So you started to go back to when you first immigrated here. Right? Because you managed to get rid of your accent.
Right. It takes a little bit of work.
With intent and time living in a...
Yeah.
So it was actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, is there like a trigger that kind of pulls you into it? Like with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's the...
Oh, you mean for impressions?
Yeah.
Common theme, energy.
Energy. Yeah.
And I'm sure you could feel the difference from the
Yeah.
first half of the Arnold Schwarzenegger impression to like the last half when I just kind of did it with... when I'm in the pocket with... Okay, obviously they're not that accurate sometimes, but like when I'm in the pocket of like when it's entertaining,
Right.
the impression,
Right.
I find it's when I am doing my own unique take of what I think it is without judging it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of moments when I was doing those impressions where I was judging you. I'm not judging you. Judging you. Look at your hair. No, I was judging myself.
Yeah.
But there was certain points like around the end with the Arnold Schwarzenegger one where that's just me having fun.
Yeah.
What I think is funny.
Right.
Like beyond what people would normally do for an impression. Because the first half of that was me trying to sound like other impressionists that were where I heard it and I'm like, oh, that's accurate.
Right.
That's so good. Like
Yeah.
it sounds just like him. But me, I'm not that type of guy. I'm realizing this right now. I remembered back then when I did the impressions all the time, the reason why my friends laughed at it was because I chose something that I thought was super interesting from that person that I'm imitating, whether it's a friend or not, or whoever. And I just hyper focus on that thing that I like.
Yeah.
Like because I don't think when people do impressions, they think of a specific movie. They think of the voice. Me, how I really work at least for the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, at that moment, I thought of Total Recall.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was funny when he's like, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, just do that. Don't fight that.
Yeah.
You know? Don't fight the flow of what it is you feel like. And then committing your body energy into it. Like that this is energy. Like, versus in the beginning, sometimes I want to, that's not really me. Yeah. When I do things, what's me? I just do weird shit. Like I like to make faces. I like to right? Like I feel good doing that. It's releasing tension.
Yeah.
Something, incoming and not. No, okay. Let's go back to the Conor McGregor thing. Like, what if?
Sometimes you gotta come with the left hook to the upper, the uppercut. Like you got the mustache. The mustache.
Like, what the fuck? He didn't say that.
Yeah.
But to me, that's fucking hilarious. I don't know why. So that's more enjoyable. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe I'm just entertaining myself. Who knows? But that's the most important thing. Entertain yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Damn, that's a lesson, guys.
That was a lesson, and you turned off the... Oh, no. The camera's still going.
It's still going.
I thought you were turning off the camera. I thought you were saying off the record when you walked over to the camera.
No! Off the record for this?
In my mind, I'm like, dude, this is gold. Why'd you turn off the camera?
Imagine if this was off the record. This is highly sensitive, confidential information.
Yeah.
This my secret to my impressions and stuff. Yeah. No, so for you doing it in your way and not thinking about how other people do it or what is on paper correct, quote unquote correct.
Yeah.
Because there is no correct.
Right.
Right? So I think this is a lesson for just life. Like, enjoy whatever the fuck you do in your own way, even for like social media posts.
Yeah.
Lately, I'll admit I haven't been having fun with it. That's why I got burnt out. Because I think I was sticking too much to the vanity metrics and what I thought was working in the past and trying to recreate that.
Right.
But like forcing myself to recreate a past moment in time with the way I said things. The way I said things. The way I was talking about things.
Yeah.
But that was all natural in the moment and how I just naturally say things.
Yeah.
And who I am.
Yeah.
But over time, I started to lose that because I was so tied in with the result.
Dang. I can imagine going crazy thinking about that. And I do catch myself doing that. I do. This is really random. Tangent. I've been asking a lot of people the bunker question. So say a nuclear bomb was dropping out of the sky and you have enough time to get yourself to shelter, but you only have time to grab 5 Blu-rays. You're going to be stuck in this bunker for like 50 years or however long the fallout takes to dissipate. You only have these 5 movies. What do you take with you?
5. I could choose whatever, right? It's not out of my collection. I don't have much of a collection.
Any
Okay.
movies.
All right. It would be
But they have to be movies, and a trilogy counts as 3 movies, not 1.
Oh damn. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Okay.
Because I think that's one of the funniest movies ever created. Fight Club.
Wow.
Joker, the recent Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because I really relate to the guy a lot.
Okay.
I mean, not in terms of killing. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe. There's that. What did I say? That. I think The Matrix. I'm thinking of movies that I always. Oh no, Gattaca.
Yeah.
Gattaca for sure. How many is that? Is that 4?
That's 4, I think.
Okay, 4, and then probably Rush Hour.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I'm really impressed by how quickly you answered. Most people either go like, that's a stupid question, and then they stop. And then some people take hours. But I like how sincerely and concisely you answered the question. That was really good. Yeah.
That was a good feedback.
Like, I asked my girlfriend questions like this, and she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, all right.
She's like, you're activating my OCD. Daniel? Did you spray your hands with Lysol?
I like that question because I think it draws out people's personalities. One, it's the types of movies they choose. Like it creates conversation. But I like how how long or how short it takes tells you something about the person. And how enthusiastic, how not enthusiastic. I think it's just like it's a simple prompt. And, a lot of people take, they'll entertain it, they humor it. But I also think you learn a lot about the person in the process.
And how they answer it.
Yeah.
Not what they answer with.
Both. What they answer with and how they answer it.
Well, what about you?
Yeah, it's funny because I asked this question to people and I don't even have a solid list myself. But I think I would pick The Dark Knight because I realize for something like this, you need something for every season of the soul. And maybe 5-minute movies isn't going to be enough to tide you over for 50 years. Or maybe it is. Because I think people draw inspiration from movies. A lot of people do, not everybody. Mm-hmm. For some people, it helps them find their own sense of self. And so that's why I like hearing what movies are important to other people. I like The Dark Knight because it's entertaining. It's got depth. There's a lot of things I think about on a daily, pretty much on the daily. And it's deeply philosophical. Like, for example, in The Dark Knight, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And ever since I heard that line, I see it every day.
Was that made up from that movie?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, because that line...
It's like so packed full of truth, you know? And it applies to so many situations that I see. Like in the UFC, Anderson Silva was the greatest martial artist of all time. At one point, that was absolutely true. And for a long time. If he had called it quits when he was on top, no one would even question it. But now, he's the guy who lost to Uriah Hall. You know, like
that's true. And then twice to
Weidman, and like it's just like so many years of tarnished legacy have kind of dimmed all of that greatness. He ruled the middleweight division with an iron fist for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, that's true.
He was invincible. Like I remember when I was growing up in high school in mixed martial arts, it was Anderson Silva and Fedor Emelianenko. These two people, if you ever found them in any setting, you wouldn't mess with them because they were just on top of the world. They could not be stopped. And they both lost in the same year. And I remember, like, it felt like the end of an era when Anderson Silva first lost to Chris Weidman and when Fedor Emelianenko got tapped by Fabricio Verdum. Like, it was just, whoa. Like, that notion of invincibility shattered. Anyways, that was a tangent. But like, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. You see that all the time.
Even on social media.
Yes.
People that had some kind of legacy and people that really looked up to this influencer person, somewhere along the way they kind of lose their shit.
Right.
And then, because like Boogie2988, I followed him for a while, and then he lost his shit, and then he's one of the most hated YouTubers now. He was the most beloved at one point, but people just hate him now.
That's crazy.
They don't like him at all because he also revealed who he really was.
Yeah.
Over time.
Ugh.
See shit, right?
Right.
Maybe from the get-go, if he was like, "This is who I am,"
yeah,
they'd be like, "Okay, we accept you."
Yeah.
But the truth of who he really was came out years later, and yeah, so
it's the saddest.
He wrote
thing.
a villain, man.
Yeah.
That's why I put everything out there. I'm like, this is me. Yeah. You could think I'm a misogynist, all that stuff, like, or like I'm this, I'm that. I'd rather have you think that from the get, and then maybe somewhere along the way, you're like, oh, he's not.
Right.
Or you can still think that and just be like, okay, that's just him then, at least.
Right.
So I'd rather just.
Yeah.
Not that anybody's ever really said that, but I'm sure there's people that think that. People are gonna think anything.
Right. I think it's a pretty solid move to just be you.
yeah. Cause now we're like, it's gonna be harder to cancel me.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think about
cancel.
Because everything I do, it has to do with what I say.
Right.
So somewhere along the way, I'm gonna say some stupid shit.
Just putting that out there now, right?
So The Dark Knight.
Yeah. So and I like that it's entertaining on the action level. Gives you something to think about, but it's not too heavy. You know. Like, I would not take Schindler's List with me. It may be one of the greatest movies, but I would not take that with that me, you know? The idea is to survive this 50 years, not want to kill yourself, you know? I would, something for levity, I would take Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. It's hard because there's 3 movies and all of them are great. But if it had to just be one, I'd take the original Back to the Future. It's a nice, neatly tied package.
Actually, I take out a Joker. I'm going to put in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Damn.
Because I've seen that like 13 times.
Seriously.
I love the first one.
But doesn't The Fellowship end on a cliffhanger?
Yeah, but the whole build up to it, like the whole, you see Hobbiton.
Yeah.
When they're just happy.
Yeah.
And then everything seems so intense because you see them go from complete innocence to never being in a physical altercation to all of a sudden facing these trolls and these beings that want to destroy them and kill them, and they're completely outnumbered and they have to like work together.
Right.
They all just met.
Yeah.
Right. Some of them being mortal enemies too, in a way. Well, maybe not mortal enemies, but like elves and dwarves, they don't like each other.
Right.
So, just seeing the progression of each person, like so much happened in that movie.
Right.
With the the guy that got shot up with arrows, Boromir.
Yeah.
Still being heroic at the end.
Yeah. That's true.
Just there's so much that happened in it.
That's true.
Where it was just natural, and that's what I love about it. It was just so fucking intense, and even, you know, and it's Strider fighting the Urukai and that one badass guy that they just set it up so well. I don't know, man. I just think The Fellowship of the Ring is one of the best movies ever made in the world.
All right. That's okay. You sold me. It's so cool that, because, you know, we're conditioned to expect this Hollywood structure. It needs to have a Hollywood ending for it to be good, or it needs to be a complete trilogy for it to be good. But I like that you brought that up, because it does explain, like, it does explore so many human situations, human scenarios. I like that.
Yeah. You know, it's like, fly, you fools. Right? Sacrifice.
Yeah.
But nobody's perfect either.
Right. Yeah, and that was the person they were putting their hope in.
Yeah, exactly. And then you lose hope. You lose that one hope.
Yeah.
And then you have to adapt to that.
Right.
Constant adaptation of life.
Dang. Right. I need to watch that again.
You should. I'm probably gonna rewatch it. Did you prepare for Robert Greene's interview? No, I watched Lord of the Rings. It taught me more about life than anything, man.
Yeah. So Back to the Future, Dark Knight. I want to say Face Off.
Wow, Face Off.
Because, like, that movie is not a smart movie by any means, but I watch it and I enjoy it every single time. Like, every single time. And it does give me a lot to think about, even though it's kind of a mindless action movie. Yeah, like, it gives me a lot to think about, actually.
Like,
okay, for example, like, on a technical level, there's a scene. You've seen it, right?
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen it, Face Off, go watch it right now. John Travolta and Nicolas Cage in their primes, and they both. So John Travolta plays an FBI agent who has a mortal enemy in the terrorist Nicolas Cage's character.
Terrorist Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Because, you know,
Terrorist Nicolas Cage.
So Nicolas Cage plays a terrorist who killed his son. Yeah. And that happens at the beginning of the movie, so it's not spoiler alerts. They hate each other, but at one point it becomes necessary for the FBI agent to take on his identity, not just by wearing a mask, not by a disguise, but they actually have to do a procedure where they surgically remove Nicolas Cage's face and they put it on his face, and so he can go undercover and find a bomb. And obviously, because it's a Hollywood movie, the terrorist wakes up and he's like, "Oh, my face! Where's my face? Hey, look, there's the face of the guy I hate. I'm gonna put his face on and take over his life and mess everything up." And then you can see where the drama ensues. And there's a scene where they're having this epic John Woo style shootout because it's directed by John Woo. And there's a part where they come face to face. So they're dueling each other with their own guns, with each other's guns. Their guns are very distinctive. So now that they're playing each other, they're using the other person's guns. And there's a part where they come back to back. There's a mirror. There's a little wall, and there's a mirror on both sides. And they're actually on the they're back to back on either side of this mirror. And they're talking to each other, and they're like, "Do you really want to do this? You know, this isn't, you know, something like that." And they're like, "All right, well, we can't get past our differences, so let's just kill each other." So they turn towards the mirror, and they're facing each other, wearing each other's faces. So what they see in the mirror is the other person. Because they're staring themselves in the mirror, but because he's wearing the face of the other person, he sees his enemy in the mirror, and they see each other for who they really are. And I'm like, "Oh shit,
that's deep.
That was crazy." And like moments like that, like it's a mindless '90s action blockbuster, but I love it because it's got stuff like that. It, though. Yeah, there's depth.
And little moments like that, right?
Yeah.
Like certain scenes, it impacts you.
What the actors had to do, they had to really get into the skin of both characters. So they both played both characters for significant portions of the movie. So it's just fascinating, and like it's an American action movie with Hong Kong action sensibilities. So you get the best of both worlds. You get American filmmaking with Hong Kong action, and it's like tied together. And there's not really a movie like it. There's lots of great '90s action movies like Terminator and Rambo. Terminator might be another one of my bunker movies, but like they're all kind of run of the mill in a certain way. There's guns, there's bullets, there's flying. But this one brings that like extra element that you don't really see in another movie. So, yeah, I think Face Off is one of my bunker movies. And then to round it off, I'd probably say there has to be at least one kung fu movie. I'm going to have to go with Iron Monkey.
I knew you were going to say that.
Iron
Did you
Monkey.
know, literally, I was like, he's going to say a Donnie Yen movie. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
brain said Iron Monkey.
Yeah.
I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
That is actually one of the best kung fu films
Seriously.
ever. Dude,
Seriously.
the end scene when they're on the poles
Yeah.
fighting the come on, man.
Crazy. It has everything. I mean, like, a lot of kung fu movies have good technical skills. Like, the choreography is great, the stunts are great, but they're not good movies because the story's not all there, or the acting, or something. Something makes it corny. But I feel like Iron Monkey is as far as kung fu movies go, it's close to the perfect movie.
Yeah, it's got the story.
Yeah.
And the villain where you feel like they could lose everything because of this guy.
The sense of menace is there. And I think a good indicator of a good movie is if you show it to somebody who's not familiar with the genre or doesn't usually watch it, and if you end the movie and they go, like, that was a pretty good movie, then it's a good sign. And I've gotten that from like almost everyone I've showed the movie to. Yeah, for Iron Monkey.
Don't you, man, when you show somebody your favorite movie, one of your favorite movies, you like 50% of the time you're just like looking over at them like, oh, fucking do they?
Yeah.
Like at certain parts where you're like, oh, he's gonna like this. Fuck, does he like it? And then when they like it, you're like, yeah. And then when they don't, you're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
Like, shit, this is my favorite part. Like, why don't you get it? Are you stupid?
Yeah, I'm totally like that. I'm one of those people. So that's 4, right? The last one, I'm gonna hold on to my man card. Okay, like I can't. I'm not gonna give it up, even though I'm gonna say this. Ghost.
Wow. Really?
Ghost.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, freaking Ghost. I first saw that movie when I was 7 years old. I still watch that movie pretty regularly.
Really?
Yeah. That is like the movie I'm embarrassed to tell people I like. I love that movie.
What do you like about it so much?
It's so like the emotional notes it hits. Like, okay, so
Damn, look at the emotional
I know.
notes.
like
Whoa.
Unchained Melody is one of my favorite
I
songs
love that song,
ever.
yeah.
And that was the song that Unchained Melody is freaking the soundtrack to a movie from the 50s called Unchained. That's why it's called Unchained Melody.
Oh.
But when everybody else hears Unchained Melody is the theme song of Ghost, right? You know, like I immediately want to wrap my arms around someone and make some pottery every time I hear that song. Like, dude, like it's so iconic and it's a really ridiculous story, but it really takes you for an adventure, you know? You feel a deep, pervasive sense of loss from the very beginning of the movie, but it's not a dark movie. You know, there are dark themes in it. You know, they're like ghouls that like grab people and take them to hell when bad people die, and the angels take the good people to heaven. But like just the way it comes together, the iconic scenes, like it hits my soul just right. You know. Okay. I'm really afraid of what you're about to say next.
No. I'm focused on you. I want to know
Okay.
about Ghost.
Okay. Have you seen it?
Of course I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not judging you at all. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I was scared when they first of all I hate betrayal amongst friends.
Oh yeah.
And the best friend,
Yeah.
that infuriates me. Like just imagining my best friend dating my girlfriend when I die.
That's so dark,
You were never my friend.
dude.
You were just waiting. You were a simp just waiting around.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys do that. It's unfortunate. It's
Yeah.
creepy.
The bro code is quickly fading.
It is fading. It truly is fading. So that infuriates me.
Yeah.
But it felt so good when he got dragged away at the end.
Yeah.
And it scared me.
Yeah.
Because I was young when I saw it.
That scared me.
So I imagine that could happen to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
for
that's
sure.
how I saw hell, being dragged down by these freaking
Shadow
demons or
people.
Shadow people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
Ugh.
So it's the emotional roller coaster it puts you through.
Yeah. You know, I notice the kind of person I am is someone who imprints on things. And usually it's on a subconscious level. For example, foods. Like if I encountered a certain food that really, really satisfied my hunger at a point when I was super hungry, I notice I always like that food after a while. And same in the opposite. If something really turned me off at just the right moment, I might never ever like it again. That's why I can't eat fish to this day. Like,
Really?
yeah,
You don't eat fish?
I don't eat fish. I'm like the worst Asian in the world, dude.
What?
So the very first time I remember things too. So I was 5 and my mom always made fish, but never made me eat it. And one day she asked me to try it, and I liked it. And she was surprised that I liked it. And I think she made fish every day for that whole week. So Monday, I ate fish. I liked it. Tuesday, I ate fish. I liked it. Wednesday, Thursday, I liked it. Friday, I ate this piece of fish. It was the same kind of fish. And it turned into sog in my mouth. It like disintegrated into like this really sandy texture. And it just, all of that happened in my mouth. And I had to spit it out and I threw up immediately. Ever since then, the wiring in my brain makes it so that if I taste anything really fishy, it triggers my gag reflex.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is freaking 26 years later still to this day. Like, and it's been tested at several points in between. Like, I can eat sushi, like raw fish, fresh fish that doesn't taste too fishy, I can do it. But the minute you sear the salmon or give me something cooked, can't do it. Like, there was one time I was at dinner with my family. We were sitting, it was like a Thanksgiving dinner. And I was at the kids' table with my brother and my sister and my god sisters. And they're like, Daniel, just try a little bit. It's good. We promise you. And I'm like, no, I'm going to throw up. So they're like, okay, how about this? So they took the smallest sliver of salmon and they put it in a spoonful of rice doused in soy sauce. And they're like, eat this. You'll be okay. So I ate it and I'm like, and I threw up all over the thing.
Are you serious? Whoa.
And ever since then,
It's that strong?
yeah, my family, like, they never test it. They're like, okay, just let them be.
No, because that reminds me of these the shows where people have these phobias for food.
Yeah.
Because they only eat one food. Like there's this lady who only eats cheesy potatoes for 30 years.
I heard of that.
30 years of her life.
Oh my God.
And then they're trying to feed her like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
Or like a piece of broccoli, and she was like, the closer it got, she turned into like Arnold from Puerto Rico. She was gagging, she was throwing up, and she was crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you humanized her a little bit more for me because of this, because I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure I know people, but we never really talked about it. Probably.
Yeah, I think the mind is just a really powerful
That's
thing.
amazing, dude.
Yeah.
So you loved fish up until that one point.
Right. It was just 5 days.
That one moment in time.
Yeah.
This is like some Flashpoint type shit.
Seriously.
Paradox. So if you did not eat fish Friday.
Yeah, I'd probably still be completely fine with fish. Same with backflips. Okay, so like I'm a tricker and I do flips, and backflips is supposed to be a basic part of your repertoire.
It's like a staple, right?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. In fact, it's a gateway trick in that a lot of other tricks that are more advanced, you kind of need that mental fortitude to be able to backflip in order to learn all the other stuff. I lost that. So I learned to backflip back in college. Yeah. And it was funny. It was at a formal event at one of our clubs. Like we were at a country club and, we were backflipping on the dance floor. And then someone goaded me on and I was too tired to do it. But I'm like, I'm no bitch. So I did it. And I didn't rotate quite enough. So I slightly under-rotated, enough for my toes to hit the floor, but at such an angle that it shot me forward. And my face went across the carpet, and it burned my face. Jeez. So I didn't even break anything. I didn't land on my head, but I just a burn on my face. And like ever since then, like I've relearned backflip, I've lost backflip. I've relearned backflip, I lost backflip. But there's always this fear in my head.
It's a mental block, right?
Mental block,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So like now, that was 11 years ago, and I've never locked backflip back into my arsenal ever.
And that's like the easiest thing out of all the crazy things you guys do.
Not the easiest thing, but there's. And
I don't know, man. Compared to the things I've seen you do,
right?
That's like pretty fucking easy.
It's weird because it's forced me to be creative. I've had to learn much more advanced moves some roundabout way.
Wow.
That allows me to bypass the fact that I can't backflip.
It like locks your body or something, right? Like
right.
For like a split second, you're like,
yeah.
doubt.
It's weird.
Jeez.
It's weird. Yeah, so our mind can create all kinds of weird structures that are permanent, really, really strong. Sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's for the worst. But I went on that long tangent to say that Ghost kind of instilled that like romantic spirit in me, because I saw it at a very young age when I didn't have a concept of love or anything like that. But to see someone go to those lengths for someone that he loved, even death wasn't going to stop him. And to me,
even death didn't stop him.
Exactly. He
That's
transcended life and death to save the woman.
You know
he
what?
loved.
You made me realize something, man. I've been on such of a journey in the past since Corona to make sure I don't get into another relationship like that, to where I was trying to, think so logically and educate myself like super logically on how females and males run on a biological level and just like all that, where I think I killed that hope for love, like the emotion, because I would logic my way through all that and be like, this is nothing, this is what the fuck, So I used to be really romantic like that, and that's like died. Actually, I did have a girl say that to me recently. She's like, I think you're just jaded. And she said, I think you're afraid to allow yourself to like feel. And I was like, and because she's like, you're just really stoic.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't know me. Give me a kiss. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me we ran out of battery now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll replace with battery. We'll finish up the last one.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just since we're still on audio. Yeah. Maybe I am scared. We can just keep talking about this.
Sure. Well, what is up with that term jaded, though? I find it so racist, because it's like...
Racist?
I mean, the term jade...
It is kind of like, oh, that's because you're just not happy. Or just whatever, right? It's just like generalized.
Right, but I know. But like, of all the precious stones, like, how many are like so tied to a culture? Jade is like a very Chinese thing. Whereas, like, you can't say, like, amethyst is a black thing. You can't say diamonds is an American thing. It's like, it's not like that, right? Yeah. But something about jade is very specifically Chinese.
It is.
So it's like, when people say, I'm just jaded, it's like, why can't it be, I'm just amethyst? I don't even know how it's...
Who made that up?
I don't know. It just always kind of struck me as weird. I don't think it's actually racist, but it's like, it's so funny that... Jade has both of those associations.
Yeah, I think I really am afraid of emotions. No,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I think I am.
It's scary because I think emotions, people have a tendency to fear physical pain, but the pain that you do to your spirit is actually much more deep-seated. It takes a lot longer to heal. And emotions kind of open you up to that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, relationships, I think that's one of the most risky ventures anyone could ever embark on.
Hell yeah, it is.
Because, like, this is like, people will attack us in life. That's just how it goes. It's the human condition, But no one can hurt you as much as somebody who has access to your heart, someone who loves you. We hurt the ones we love more than we can hurt our enemies. And especially the one that you let into your heart. It's nuts. We talk about vulnerability. That is the greatest, most profound kind of vulnerability you can.
So you're not
assume.
You've never really had trouble opening yourself up like that.
I mean, I think I have. I mean, for me, there's just not a lot of data. I haven't been in a whole lot of relationships, but the ones I have been in were transformative. I've never come out the same. I've never come out of a relationship the same. And I don't think you should come out the same. If you did, then you probably didn't do enough work, But I've come out of enough to know that it's a risky venture. It changes who you are. It rewires you, But I think sometimes we need to be rewired. Like what I was saying about fish. The fact that I can't eat fish, the only way to fix that is if I rewired my brain some way. And with backflips, the only way I could like overcome my fear of backflips is if I rewired my brain a certain way. And rewiring your brain doesn't always need to involve, psychoactive drugs or anything. You don't need to take LSD. You probably do for some things, but I think there are certain experiences we take in or certain activities we embark on that have a similar effect. It changes who we are in such a way that it can have a profound, long-lasting effect like that. Relationships is one of them. But knowing that it can do that to you in either a good way or a bad way, it's really scary. So I would never fault anyone for saying that they're afraid of emotions.
But you're right, though, because it all that did change me for the better, though. Like every I haven't been in many relationships either, but it has significantly changed my life for the better.
Yeah.
Really. So I mean, no matter how bad it got, those were all positive lessons in my life. So Yeah, I don't know.
I think
I think I just need more time. I'll be fine.
step by step
I'll be fine. Step
or something like that.
by step, man. And the backflip thing, like, what if I imagined you winning some kind of competition because of a backflip, or maybe you backflipped off a cliff into the sea, and then you're just like, well, that was way scarier than whatever it was before. Were people? Do you think it's because people were around you and saw that happen?
I'm sure that
added to it.
That does add to it. Because now when I go back, when I like train backflips, like it's hard for me, not because I fear landing on my head. A lot of times I'm doing it in a safe environment, foam pit, mats, or whatever. But it's somewhere in my brain worrying what other people think. Especially now, because I've been tricking for over a decade now. And I should be at a certain level. And to see someone, to the idea of someone seeing me struggle with something so basic in something I pride myself on, it's tough.
It's kind of like
I worry about what other people think, and it's hard to admit that.
I can see that though, because something that is like a base move,
Yeah,
and they have expectations, and then you mess up on that base move, which is a starting move, right?
right.
For people,
right.
then they're gonna be like, question you as a tricker, which is your identity and what you work so hard to get better at.
Right.
So I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
I saw. I don't know if there was this remake of The Blind Swordsman. So you know how Zatoichi was the original swordsman? They made a remake with a girl. So she's
girl?
a blind swordsman. So she's the main character. She's a badass.
I'm not saying that's a problem. So if you heard me, make noises, it's not because I'm like, that was just me being like, oh, interesting. Not like, oh, ew, woman, really? Just to clarify. Don't cancel me.
I don't. So in the story, she encounters this buffoon of a samurai, and the whole movie he comes across as completely incompetent. How is this guy samurai? And whenever the shit is about to hit the fan, like they're being attacked by other samurai, like he puts his hand on his sword and he tries to pull the sword out of the sheath, but it won't go. And he's like, oh, I can't do it. And it forces her to have to fight everyone off. Oh. So throughout the movie, you come to believe that this guy is just worthless. Like he can't do anything. And then she's like, at one point, she gets fed up with it. And she's like, why can't you do anything? And he's always so sad about it and never explains himself. But he's like, okay, let's duel with wooden swords. She's like, oh, okay. So she pulls out a bokken, a wooden sword. So he pulls out his bokken. He totally kicks her ass. Like, he's like really, really good. Really good. And then she's like, what the hell? If you're this great of a swordsman, how come you weren't able to show it in any of these confrontations that we've had? And then he talks about as a kid, he was practicing with his sword and he got a little too out of control. And then he unsheathed the sword and let go of the sword, and the sword like sliced his mom's eye open.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I know. So he became so traumatized that he was never able to draw his sword ever again, even though his skill with the sword has always been increasing. He's always been practicing. Yeah. But the fact that he hurt somebody he loved, it created this permanent association that blades can only hurt the people you love. So it's like that was the big thing he had to encounter at the end. And I think this happens to all of us in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's another way to have empathy too, besides just thinking that we all are mortals and we're going to pass away one day.
Right.
I think it's also to think that and know that a lot of our actions they derive from the past.
Yeah.
That childhood shit.
Yeah.
When we're younger.
Yeah.
That doubt. So I'm just thinking out loud here. Like I'm literally starting to think. I've been working on trying to be more empathetic because I lost that empathy along the way during this journey.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why can't you handle that? Like, you can't handle it. Like I had to do this. Mm-hmm. Like I already went through it. Like, but I don't say, oh, I already went through. I just think from how I am now, instead of thinking, well, how did you get here? Mm-hmm. Like, how much of a struggle was it to be at this mentality?
Right.
And it's not fair for you to judge other people who aren't trying to do what you do and struggle in their own way because they don't have to face themselves to that high of a level. Because when you do what we do, you have no choice. Mm-hmm. Like you fucking have to. When you're at work, you can blame somebody else.
Right.
But like this type of stuff, if you mess up on a move or you mess up on a set, you literally it just points back to you, and you have no choice but to face yourself and go through that emotional pain to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been feeling like a little bit emotionally dead-ish, but it's been coming back. I feel a little bit more connected now,
Right.
if that makes sense. But I think that also ties in just to being in an intimate relationship, because when I was in intimate relationships, they kind of forced me to be more in touch with that side of me that's not naturally there. Right. I guess I can be pretty stoic, even though I joke around and have fun like that. But when it comes to like that deep emotional stuff, I think I am. Maybe it's a protective mechanism. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. It's so weird because we make these realizations and we find out that truths tend to be simple, but the way we apply them, that's when it gets messy. Because we know something to be true, but putting it into practice that's where the mastery comes in. That's where life comes in, you know? Mm-hmm. So like we know that we need to empathize with other people, but learning to do that takes time. Even when we know it to be true, even when we know it inside and out.
So before we wrap up, what are you the place you are right now mentally, what are you focused on? What are you striving for?
Right. I'm trying to, let's see if I can put it concisely. I feel like so much of what I do has always been based in other people somehow, some way. For example, we look for affirmation from people that we respect, or we have to be able to do this in order to impress this person. Like I was saying earlier, I want to be this version of myself so that this person will have reason to love me. You know, I think I need to learn to operate independent of that, you know? Be the best person I can be just for the sake of being the best person, you know? Like not so that others will adore you. Just so that for the virtue of you being the best you can be, you know?
Because there's shit that I still blame my mom for that she didn't even do. Like I hit my toe really hard on the wall, and I'm like, oh, it's my fucking mom's fault. Because you know, my dad blamed my mom all the time growing up, so I learned to blame her for a bunch of shit. And like I would blame my mom, well, because I moved back home. So like, I'm like, fuck, where's my black sock? Fuck, I need my black sock to go with this outfit. Damn it! Did you do it? Because she like, she does the laundry. That's what happens when you move back home. So like, I was like blaming her in my head. I'm like, but I placed it somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not the same thing to you guys, but you know what I'm saying though.
I think it's
basically
the same.
The love mixed with the.
It's the same
strong emotions. Period.
Emotional response.
Yeah, not saying like anything about you know what I'm getting at.
Right. And the fact that something like that can exist despite how we love that person.
Yes. Yeah. You're better at what. Yeah. Thanks for.
No, I feel you, dude. I feel you, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I get it. I get that.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, imagine if it were cars. Like people can experience something like that easily. Imagine if you accidentally crashed into your friend's car.
I actually did recently.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he didn't care about the car. Unfortunately, we were in a parking garage, and I just forgot to put on the brake when I was already stopped. So.
Okay.
So fortunately, but I was really worried at that moment. I was like, "Fuck, is this gonna end the friendship?" Because you never know. Because you think like, what's gonna happen when it comes to like real life stuff?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, what is this?
Yeah.
We're not close like you and Brian, but we're like actually friends.
Right.
And I was like, I like this guy. Like, I hope this doesn't. He was like, oh, it's no big deal, man. He talks like that. He's a white guy. He's like, yeah, just it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. I don't even care. It's fine. And I was like, thank God. Thank you, white man. Paul. Shout out to Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. Time does heal all. So I just trust and.
Can I admit something to you?
Go for it.
When you took a while to respond, and then I saw you post on Instagram, I was angry. Not because I've been through it. No, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I just want to say that to show everybody how neurotic I can be. I've had that happen a lot to me.
Yeah.
By other people.
Yeah.
And because I like you a lot. You know, I consider you a good friend.
Yeah.
So, and I do this shit with my best friend all the time too. Like I go off on him all the time. Like I'm high, like I think like crazy shit, and like I'll do like passive aggressive texts at him, and then I was like, why am I getting so angry? Mm-hmm. People go through things, like things happen, but then my brain automatically wanted to go towards like some dark shit, like because Danny doesn't like you anymore. He doesn't like you. So my brain did that because I have abandonment issues. So it's not you. This is how I think anytime like people don't respond for a while. Mm-hmm. So then I'll like no, just like, sometimes they forget. Sometimes they need time to like think of something, or like whatever. Like because I do that. Mm-hmm. I do the same thing. Mm-hmm. It happens. Yeah. When I go through stuff. But then my brain automatically wants to point fingers and be like, they don't like me. I really have massive abandonment issues.
No, I understand. Sorry about that. But
no, don't even apologize. I'm not trying to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to bring it up at first because I didn't want to make you feel bad, but I brought it up because, like I said, I just want people to know how crazy I can think and humanize us. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I really don't care if people respond like that, but I have this thing where like when I text people and then this isn't you, but like I have other friends and then they just don't respond. But these are people that are always on their phone like 24/7, even when we're hanging out, they're just staring at their phone. So I know how much they're on their phone and they don't respond. I get so angry because I'm like, I know what you fucking do.
Yeah.
So that means you ignore. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I mean,
because I'm thinking because sometimes I take these things so personally, and I know it's because of abandonment issues. Mm-hmm. Because like the more I get closer to people, the more I like that.
Yeah.
That little boy comes out.
Yeah. I think it's
But again, just to clarify, like I don't give a fuck about that, like that the whole like text thing.
No,
I'm just saying what I felt at that moment. Yeah.
No, because I totally get that. The reason why I don't feel that more often is because I realize I do that. Like especially when you're part of a lot of group chats and like lots of messages like bringing in all the time. Like your phone is like vibrating all the time and blinging all the time, and some things are like super important, and some things. It's just your friends talking about something stupid.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like easily hundreds of notifications a day. And then it just gets to be too much, And then like, I think it's not good because I have to be better about it, but.
No, but it's texting for a reason. If it was like that,
like,
if it was like super, they're going to call you, right? But here's the other thing though. Here's the thing that I need to add is, but I don't always get like that. But when I get like that, the pattern is when I'm not doing shit. When I'm not doing things. So, and this was when I wasn't doing shit for 2 weeks.
Right.
And vegging out.
Right.
So I took everything personally.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, that's why I want to share that, because it's not the person and their actions. It's
an internal thing.
Me. Yeah, it's an internal thing.
Yeah.
Because when I'm doing shit, I forget to respond for sometimes a few weeks. And I'm, oh, fuck. Because I remember I looked at it and I was like, I'll respond later. And I completely forget.
Right. That happens.
But that's because I'm doing shit. But then when I'm not doing shit, I get so sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
I have time to think about shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I would respond. It's like, that's because you're not doing shit right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I also found during this time when I was like relaxing, the amount of recovery, there was a diminishing return on that, and I started to self-destruct. That's when I was like, oh, you need to get back to doing your shit.
Yeah.
Because at this point, this is just an excuse.
Yeah.
Well, this has been deep.
Super deep.
Super fucking deep.
This is heavy lifting.
Stuff that I have not had to think about the whole time. Maybe that's why I've been so dead. No, that's why I've been dead. My heart feels raw right now. my heart's like, oh yeah, care about people.
I get that a lot from people.
yeah. Get that shit. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, no, you definitely gave me a lot of food for thought. I'll probably be chewing on this stuff for months to come. Probably see a lot of Instagram posts about it.
Because that's your journal.
Yeah, that is my journal entry. So I'll shout you out when it starts to bear fruit for me.
Hell yeah. Okay. Speaking of Instagram, all right. So you want to plug in?
Yes. So those of you guys who saw me on the last episode might know this, but if you don't, I'm Dima from Martial Club. Martial Club is on YouTube. We're constantly trying to bring you guys awesome martial arts related action. Tune in if you want a little bit of diversion. I guarantee you will enjoy what you see. But we're available on all the social media platforms. Andy, Brian, myself, we all have our Instagram handles. My handle is Dima from Martial Club because I like to introduce myself as Dima from Martial Club. Yep. So if you guys could check out my Instagram and give me a follow and just take in what I've been learning and get from it what you will. I'd appreciate it greatly. And yeah.
I will appreciate you greatly. No, but their shit is phenomenal. Phenomenal. You like Hong Kong cinema style?
Yes.
Crazy Jackie Chan style action, ode to Kung Fu history. Watch them.
Martial Club
and they modernized it at the same time too. It's a good like modern spice take on it. So it's phenomenal. So and guys, this is my first time doing this, but I'm trying to copy other podcasts. So if you're not following me, follow me.
Yes.
At mikekimcomedy, one word on Instagram and everything. Subscribe, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop. Not a good plug-in on my part, but yeah. I'm hungry and we're going to end this right now. This has been a great podcast. Good. So guys, thank you for listening. Awesome. Thank you for watching.
Awesome.
It's been another episode of the Setbreaker Podcast. I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Lights.